Welcome to America's Day at the Races and Super Saturday at Belmont Park. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Gorgeous weather here in Elmont, New York. And the new neighbors of Belmont, the Islanders and their fans, out in force this afternoon to catch all the action for some big races that have major implications for championship weekend in the Breeders' Cup and even Horse of the Year candidacy on the line. Greg Wolf alongside four-time Major League All-Star Paul LaDuca, New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling. Four graded stakes races coming up. We have two grade ones. One of them we're getting to immediately here in the Vosburgh and Imperial Hint. Sensational track record-setting performance last time out in the Vanderbilt at Saratoga. If he were to win this race this afternoon, guys, does he become your favorite for the Breeders' Cup Sprint?
I think that's an excellent question. And Matoli, who right now is probably one of the leading contenders for the Horse of the Year, he's probably favored, but a huge race by Imperial Hint, especially in the last race, he could be favored, Paul.
Yeah.
Especially given they're both shipping into California,
No,
right?
that's
it's
true.
not like either one of them has that home court edge out there.
No, that's true. And this is a horse that now, what have you done for me lately? 114 by our track record, and what are we going to see from him in about 5 minutes or so? Could probably dictate, and especially with Matoli going to the Breeders' Cup, training towards it, I think that people will make Imperial Hint maybe your favorite just because they're seeing more recency. I don't know. We'll see.
Also, is there a feeling that even though Matoli's done very well at 6 furlongs, 7 to a mile. Now, I think Matoli's going to be fine at 6 furlongs. It is funny how perceptions can change, right? Because it wasn't that long ago that people said, will Matoli be able to stretch out? Yeah. Now some might wonder, will he be as effective going shorter? I'll tell you what, could be one of the best matchups of Breeders' Cup Day.
Absolutely. There he is. He's the little rocket, small in stature, but boy, does he have a huge heart and a strong finish. Coming off that track record-setting performance at Saratoga, he is 1-5 on the board. Let's check in downstairs with Maggie Wolfendale for more.
That's right, Greg, and it's so funny with Imperial Hint. If you had camouflaged him in a Maiden Claimer 20 and asked which one of these does not belong, well, you wouldn't have probably guessed Imperial Hint. He is so unassuming. It's not even funny anymore, as he certainly does puff up once he gets out on track, and that's always a sign of a good horse who puts their game face on. He is much the horse to beat based upon his resume at 1-5, but while Firenze Fire, he always looks good. A horse that intrigues me a bit is number 2, American Power, and his trainer, Linda Rice, is the queen of striking when the iron's hot, as he's looking for his 4th win in a row, but granted, not against grade 1 company. But Linda, noting that this field was going to be short, and why not try to pick up some graded stakes company? And this horse looks fantastic. He really, really has come along nicely for her throughout this year and this campaign. So we'll see if he can sneak in, maybe fill up the exacta spot with number 4, Imperial Hint, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. So, yeah, American Power, massive step up here, trying to win his 4th in a row. But, wow, is this tough company and a tough place to try and do it. Imperial Hint, his trainer, Louis Carvajal, when he said he looked up at the clock of the Vanderbilt and that final time, 107.92, new track record, he said, my hair stood up.
No, that was a devastating performance. But to be fair, he was very much for the track, and Matoli was buried down the inside, but also Firenze Fire, who finished to be 10 lengths behind him. But he was right down the rail. Now, I don't think either one of us thinks that Firenze Fire is going to beat him. In fact, I think we both thought Promises Fulfilled had a real chance to beat him had they run him here. But Firenze Fire is going to be a lot closer, and I think we both agree that the exacta that's now paying very, very little of 4-6 is a very likely result. Here's one for you. Do you think it's more likely to be 4-2 or 6-4?
Oh, 4-2.
4-2.
I would put 4-2 to bet 6-4.
I don't think it could be anything else but Imperial Hint,
Firenze
Fire.
There's any way that the number 6, Firenze Fire has at times run some pretty good races.
The crazy part about Imperial Hint is sometimes people bounce from the Dubai. Horseman went forward from Dubai.
Didn't you and I both pick Imperial Hint against? Pick Firenze Fire against Imperial Hint? I know I did. I picked him in the Vanderbilt.
I think I did
one
too.
of my many great picks.
And here's the thing, one of his better races all the way on the bottom, besides his last one, was in the Breeders' Cup Sprint 2 years ago out in California where he lost to Roy H.
Jockeys wearing ribbons on their boots there for childhood cancer awareness, I should say. So supporting a very good cause this afternoon. There's your big 1-5 favorite, Imperial Hint, trying to move on to the Breeders' Cup Sprint potentially as your favorite. We set it upstairs for the call of the Grade 1 Vosburgh. Here's Larry Colmus.
All in line. They're off in the Vosburgh. Imperial Hint and Forense Fire had good starts, and they go at each other right away. Imperial Hint to the front. Forense Fire 3/4 of a length behind him. They've opened up 4 lengths on the other two, American Power and Brown Buckeye on the outside. So Imperial Hint goes out there winging, opens up the lead by almost 2 lengths here. Forense Fire will track him in second. This opening quarter mile goes up in 22.11 seconds. They're moving along at a swift pace. It's 4 lengths to Brown Buckeye, and the trailer is American Power. Around the far turn, Imperial Hint the leader. Forense Fire sits 2 lengths behind him as they make their way toward the top of the stretch. It's a long way back to Brown Buckeye and American Power. As they turn for home here, the half mile goes up in 44.65 seconds. And they're into the stretch, and Javier Castellano and Imperial Hint have a foe in Forense Fire and Erad Ortiz. And these two hook up at the 8th pole, and Forense Fire has taken the lead. Imperial Hint will try to battle back on the inside. Can he do it? Forense Fire, Imperial Hint's coming back. These two coming down to the line. Very close. Did Imperial Hint come back? Oh, he's got so much heart. Forense Fire was right with him on the wire, and Brown Buckeye was third in a final time of 108.35.
Incredibly sharp final time, and what a stretch duel. Never in doubt from Imperial Hint, right?
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think we even were worried about it. And I tell you one thing, Javier Castellano was going to be quite the goat if this horse didn't go back and win, because it felt like he was a little bit passive on this horse and might have misjudged just how good Forense Fire might be. Forense Fire looked like a certain winner, but the favorite came back, Paul.
Wow, this is what a race to start the day off. Imperial Hint and Forense Fire. Bob of the nose is 6 in front, 4 in front, 6 in front, and watch the Bob back. The 4 battles back here, and this is wicked close, but I'd have to give it to the inside horse, Imperial Hint. We saw Diddy yesterday, but he got the Bob, and you got to give this horse credit.
Why are they showing the 6?
They got the 6 on the
4.
On the camera, and now they got it on the 4. But I'll tell you what, I said on the top of the lane, Forense Fire can finish, and he likes this racetrack, and Castellano played it a tiny bit dangerous.
And let's talk about how tough that is to be in that position, intimidated down inside on the fence, and how much heart this horse has to come back and get this if he did, in fact, win.
No, look, he's a very good horse. It was an exceptional performance, and a very good performance by both of them. And in Forense Fire, to give him some credit, he was a bit out of his game, because he's normally not that close to pace, but I think Imperial Hint made it a little bit easier for him because he didn't go that fast the first quarter. Now, the second quarter, 44 and 3, our track's been pretty quick. This was just a super horse race between 2 very good horses.
It really was. It really was. Wow, what a race. And Forense Fire just gave Imperial Hint all he can handle. And there is the photo, just the bob of the heads. But you got to give Imperial Hint some credit. Forense Fire is a win machine, 7 for 19, and Imperial Hint just turned him away. Wow.
He is so game, small in stature, but just a huge heart. He gave his trainer his first ever Grade 1 win. That was last year in this race. He's since gave him his second and now third Grade 1 wins. Said downstairs to Maggie.
And pleased to be joined by trainer Louis Carvajal. That was a little closer than we all wished for, but boy, he showed all of his heart today, Louis.
Yeah, this horse has heart. It is amazing. I think we were a little too confident, but you know, races like this, that's what make the sport so special. It's never a short thing, but I'm glad that he came back and he has a lot of heart.
And he's getting a ovation here in the winner's circle. They do now. Him and Javier picking up for his 8th stake. He is absolutely tremendous. Well over $2 million in the bank.
Yes. Javier did a great job, and he knows this horse. And look at these people. It's amazing. It just goosebumps. It's great.
I mean, how cool is it for you just to be a part of a horse like this?
I want this never to end.
And it hasn't for 3 years straight. Going to another Breeders' Cup, Louis, that's kind of been the thorn in his side. Santa Anita, will he be able to do it there?
Well, we hope so. Hopefully the third time is the charm.
I love it. Louis, congratulations, heartfelt.
Thank you very much.
All right, Louis Carvajal, guys, wow, that was amazing with Imperial Hint, and I got goosebumps as well listening to the crowd cheer him back to the winner's circle.
I got goosebumps watching that entire stretch duel, and yeah, that ovation was
cool.
really neat to see. Let me ask you this now, guys. This will be the 3rd chance for Imperial Hint at the Breeders' Cup. third last year, second the year before. Is this the year he breaks through?
Maybe it is. Like I said, last year he broke a little slow. The year before that, he get run down by Roy H., but he gave it his all at Del Mar. So Louis already had proven that this horse can ship around. He shipped to Dubai. He shipped everywhere. And he even admitted it, and he goes, he admitted it with himself. We were a little too confident today and almost got beat, but the heart of the horse, and the horse won the race.
Yeah, no. I would argue this race will benefit him more than just
Yeah,
some sort of
probably,
cakewalk
yeah.
and just a public workout. I think it's probably good for him to be in a bit of a battle because a Matoli on a fair racetrack is not going to be like the Vanderbilt.
No, and
he'll be in a battle.
The other part about this is only his second race in March. You're right. You know, he probably needed that last time he jogged. This was a test where he got a lot of fitness out of this race.
How cool is it that as a 6-year-old, he might not just be every bit as good as he ever was, but he may be better than he ever was
like preservationist,
as a
right?
6-year-old. It's really remarkable what this horse has done throughout his career. What a racehorse.
What a tremendous job by his trainer as well to bring him along. And now at 6, as Andy said, blossoming, maybe the best he has ever been. And now he will go into the Breeders' Cup Sprint, if not the favorite, certainly one of the favorites on that championship weekend out on the West Coast. What a performance in the final time. Not another track record, but very sharp final time, 108-1.
It was just a thrilling horse race, and it was really great to hear, and you pointed out with the fans cheering for him in the winner's circle, the fans here, and appreciating what they just saw, because that was wonderful.
No, it really was really cool to see. And this is a horse that, like I said, a son of Imperialism out of La Hint mare. I beg you to look for a son of Imperialism that's out there right now in the racing form. And a La Hint mare.
Who trained La Hint? I think I know.
I know who trained Imperialism. It was Kristen Mulhall. I do know that.
It
ran a good derby.
Bill Mott trained La Hint, I believe.
So,
I can't believe he was the sire of anything.
This horse is supposed to go about 2 miles, and it is an elite sprinter, and is still a horse that's going to stand somewhere.
And now we look forward to this big show. There's some other very talented sprinters around the country as well, including the 3-year-old Chancelot, but maybe his main rival, Matoli. Did you bring up the work from him?
Well, he worked, I think, 50 at .13 yesterday at Belmont Park. His first work since he won the Forgo. He'd been in Saratoga, and I guess they shipped him down for the work, and then they'll be shipping either the Midwest or right out to California. But you're right, we forgot about Chancelot for a minute. He'll be running next week at Santa Anita, and he's going to add a lot to that sprint. This could be one of the most exciting Breeders' Cup sprints we've had in a long time.
So many of these divisions, as we get to championship weekend, there's so many great storylines, and this battle is one of them.
Where's Omaha Beach going?
Well, he's running in
Santa Anita Sprint.
He's running, supposedly running the sprint next week against Chancelot.
Mr. Mandela.
He's not beating Chancelot.
Let me tell you
pointing
something.
I would think dirt mile.
I understand he's pointing toward the dirt mile, but Mr. Mandela would not be sticking that horse against Chancelot if he didn't think he had a shot. Believe me.
He can't beat him.
That will be fun to watch as well. Imperial Hint, though, little tougher than expected, but does his part. And look, he does it against a horse who has been, I think, head and shoulders beyond, above his best at any other racetrack right here at Belmont Park. Frenzy Fire's been sensational
right,
here.
It feels like Frenzy Fire ran that good race today. I mean, the problem that Frenzy Fire has is he hasn't been reliable. He'll run these huge races, and then he'll run sort of ho-hum. Obviously, you're right, the best race been at Belmont, but I think he ran his good race today, and that shows just how well Imperial Hint ran.
No, you're right. He's ran 107 in the Dwyer, in the Dwyer last year. That's a 1-turn mile. His 6-furlong race in the Run Happy, he absolutely jogged. You're right. He's a better horse here, and probably 6 furlongs to 7 might be his best. And Imperial Hint turned him away. I mean, he ran a winning race. I mean, what can you say?
I feel we were vindicated for picking him in the Vanderbilt now. Finally, I feel like we got over that, Paul.
Yeah, maybe.
It was a great pick in the Vanderbilt.
Then I picked him in the Forgo. That didn't work either.
You didn't really pick him.
Well, as I mentioned, 4 graded stakes races coming up, 3 of them with implications for championship year-end honors, and we just saw a horse who might be in line for that with that performance from Imperial Hint. Track conditions brought to you by Piranha Fly Spray, the preferred fly spray at Belmont Park. Piranha on, pests gone, main track fast, turf condition firm for today's action. We're going to bring you the entire rest of today's card, races 5 through 11. We will be on the turf next. Of course, we still have Midnight Bisou in the Grade 2 Beldame to come. She's put together a perfect 4-year-old season so far. She is in line and one of your leading contenders for Horse of the Year, the Grade 3 Pilgrim, and of course the Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup as Travers winner Code of Honor and Tacitus tackle older horses for the first time.
I'd like to take a poll of the 4 horses. I think on my hour off, I am going to take a poll and go around who everybody likes in the Jockey Club Coke Cup, because I've heard 4 different, a couple people come up with Vino Rosso, more people like Preservationists. You see Javier Castellano holding up
the flag.
Yeah, he's holding up the flag. Is that the, I don't know my flags that
I don't
well.
know, you
but is
dug
that
this
the
hole,
Colombian flag?
this hole, climb out of it.
Or the Venezuelan flag. He's Venezuelan. He is the Venezuelan flag. That is the Venezuelan flag. It is.
Get signed up, started. Play along with Naira Bets. Bet $200. Use that promo code LIVE at sign up. You'll get $200 in your account. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Grade 1 Travers winner, Code of Honor. An important race, not just tackling older horses for the first time, but potentially for a 3-year-old championship as well. Still to come later this afternoon. We'll preview it next.
Warfront. This son of Danzig ranks among the world's elite sires. With Grade 1 winners on dirt and turf and star performers both at home and abroad, Warfront's success as an international super sire is unmatched. Recent Grade 1 winners include Omaha Beach and Preakness Stakes hero War of Will. In the sales ring, his $2.4 million sale topper at Keeneland September was the highest price yearling sold in North America last year. Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Love the turn with a link to the half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200.
The dramatic finish.
Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Run Happy is simply super. He polishes off an outstanding campaign with a dominant victory in the Malibu.
No medication, no problem. Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
You're watching America's Day at the Races here on Super Saturday on Fox Sports 2. It's brought to you in part each and every day by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Our main event coming up this afternoon. Final stop to the Breeders' Cup Classic for the 5 or 4 main runners in this race that will line up in the Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup, and a chance for the first time for Tacitus and Travers winner Code of Honor to take on older horses in this spot. It is our ABR race of the week, compact field, but we have quality throughout in here. And the 2 older horses, both graded stakes winners at this distance of 1.25 miles.
Yeah, no, this is a really interesting matchup between 2 older horses with talent and 2 3-year-olds that both have talent as well.
Let's go through the field. We start with Tacitus, so he put blinkers on. Last time out, he was very, very eager early on. Connection's hoping he's not quite as eager early today.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a question of how aggressive they are out of the gate, but if Preservation doesn't want the lead, today he could find himself in front in a slow pace. I'm a big fan, but today's the day he needs to get it done. I'm confident, but we'll see.
Meanwhile, Travers winner, Code of Honor, he is 2-0 in matchups against Tacitus, and a win today puts himself in line for an Eclipse Award.
Yeah, and put up second via disqualification in the Derby, and a winner of the Travers, obviously, and a horse that does like this racetrack for Chuck McGahee. This is a horse that actually took a field gate to wire at Saratoga in his debut, and I'm wondering if he's going to have to lay closer to the pace today. It's going to be a bunched up field.
Here's our Wood Memorial winner from last year, Vino Rosso, Grade 1 winner on the West Coast, trying to get a Grade 1 on the East Coast.
His best career win was at 1.25 miles, 2 back in the Gold Cup at Santa Anita. He was a very disappointing 3rd in the Whitney. Can he get back with the blinker change today?
And 6-year-old for Jimmy Jerkins, Preservationist, Grade 2 Suburban winner. Disappointing in the Whitney, but boy, did he rebound big in the Grade 1 Woodward.
Yeah, Junior Alvarado put all his riding skills on display that day on August 31st and got this son of Arch home. Jimmy Jerkins has been very, very patient. Does he want the front end? He seems like he's a little bit better when he has a target.
And no one talking about Olympic Village. Remember what happened in this race last year, 45 to 1 shot won it.
He would make that horse would make the 45 to 1 shot look like a 3 to 5 shot. He's a very good claim in his last start and ran very well. I hope they're more realistic after today's race.
One thing I will say is he's got to go to the front end. He went 109 and change at Saratoga. I mean, is he going to the front end and give the rest of the horses targets? I don't know.
He's finishing last regardless.
He is, but he might help a lot of these horses out.
Get ready for the Breeders' Cup Classic and pad your bankroll with a Breeders' Cup Classic prep bonus. Earn a $20 credit if you hit a $20 win bet on the Naira Bets app on each of today's Breeders' Cup Classic preps, Jockey Club Gold Cup, Lucas Classic at Churchill, and the Awesome Again with McKinsey at Santa Anita. For details on the bonus, visit nairabets.com. Up next, we'll be on the inner turf, mile and a 16th, maiden special weight ahead. In a wide open race here, we have a half to the Great Lady Eli for trainer Chad Brown, Princessa Caroline. Of course, your 2017 champion turf female. Half-sister, Princessa Caroline, making her debut. Coming up next in this race, right now she's 4-1 on the board. We'll go through the field when we return on America's Day at the Races.
For a commercial farm like us in Frankfurt Park, you have to get value for money. Uvetzi won a grade 3 in California.
Big performance by Uvetzi.
And then we bred Take Charge Paula.
Take Charge Paula with the win.
When we can get some of these WinStar dollars, as far as we're concerned, it's the same as real money because we're just putting it back in again there for the coming year. Over the next couple of years, I think it's going to become even more important.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
Whether you have Derby dreams or Midsummer Derby dreams, this is Tom Durkin to tell you a registered New York bred can take you there.
Diversify!
That New York bred Exact and the Whitney by multimillionaires Diversify and Mind Your Biscuits shows the kind of quality that allowed New York breds to earn more than $93 million on the world stage last year. On-track successes have spurred New York bred sales result. At the March OBS sale, Chestertown sold for $2 million. And this New York bred 2018 yearling brought $1 million at Saratoga. So get with the program at nybreds.com.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
The Super Saturday edition of America's Day at the Races is back with you, and we, as always, are brought to you in part by Run Happy, as we have horses saddled and on the walking ring for one of several two-year-old races that we have on the card today. This one, a mile and a 16th on the turf for the fillies. And we'll begin by talking about the horse who is taking the most early money, and that is number 1, Laughable, who ran very well. And I have to say, who was beaten by her stablemate, Sparkling Sky. And she faces a lot of the same horses that she faced in that debut race. And she set the pace that day. She got fairly wound up in the paddock and out in the racetrack, in which rightfully so. There was a big delay that day. We had 2 loose horses, 2 late scratches. Nobody wanted to behave at the gate, so there was a lot going on, and she's so much more settled here at Belmont. And plus, on top of that, she's just this big, beautiful, good-looking filly. I really like what I'm seeing from her. I noticed that she is wearing a Houghton bit, which is my favorite bit for a horse that might be a little bit tough to handle when you see that comment line lugged out second. So if a horse wants to lug in or lug out, it's the perfect bit for them to be a little bit more controllable. Now on to some first-time starters, including number 3, Cove Bay, a daughter of Empire Maker. And yeah, there's been some okay horses in the bottom side. She's just a solid, strong, athletic-looking filly. She's been very professional here in the paddock. She comes in, she looks probably 95% fit. Maybe one race will get her a little bit more tucked up, but overall, she looks very well prepared. She's painted a very nice picture for her debut. Definitely has a turf hoof to her as well. Now, number 7 is Princessa Caroline. As you heard Greg say before the break, she is the half younger sister to Lady Eli, as well as Busy Caroline, who is a very effective turf runner in her own right. And she is kind of this tall, leggy, spindly looking filly, and yeah, there's some development there, but the framework is there. She looks fit heading into this one, maybe needs to strengthen a little bit more behind the saddle, but overall I like what I'm seeing. It's just she seems a little bit green here in the paddock. We'll pay attention to how she acts out on the racetrack. Sometimes it can be night and day. As on the outside is one for trainer Dermot Magner. That's Aziza, who sold for $230,000 at the Fates Tipton May sale at Timonium. Very impressive workout. Really liked what I see, and she worked 10-1 over the dirt. That's pretty fast, and she just has this massive stride to her. But I'm kind of questioning why we're on the turf first time out. Yeah, she has a little bit of a turf hoof, but we'll see how she does here. John Velasquez does get the mount here, Greg, as he surpassed that Jerry Bailey's graded stakes record yesterday out in California.
Maggie, thank you. Yes, he did. The Hall of Famer, 2 Grade 1 wins to give him 662 career graded stakes victories.
The Doug O'Neill horse, if I'm not mistaken, gave him all he can handle. Comical, the horse that won at Saratoga, and wow, Bash just got by.
Here's Laughable. Todd Pletcher, Jose Ortiz showed speed, wound up 4th in the debut at Saratoga.
My top pick, because I wasn't thrilled with anybody in here, and I like the fact that showed speed, and hopefully she can improve second time out.
Brambleberry will put blinkers on. She has been in 2 stakes races, both at Monmouth.
And Michael Deeney has really done well shipping these horses from Monmouth Park. So you're getting a good price. And it usually goes to Lescano too, 10-1.
Hall of Famer Bill Mott with a first-time starter, Cove Bay, daughter of Empire Maker.
A little bit of a tip on this horse, taking some money right now. It's more of a dirt pedigree, though, to me. Second dam was the 1994 2-year-old filly of Champion Flanders.
One of 2 in the race for trainer Chad Brown. This is the one with experience, Boxer Rebellion Irad Ortiz Jr.
Yeah, Chad's so good, 31%. You know, this filly by Empire Maker, she sort of ran around there one pace the whole way around the racetrack. I wonder if she wants to go longer and longer.
Our little Jewel, blinkers going on, Michael Trombetta trainee.
She ran the best of anyone coming out of the same race, the 1, 4, and 5, all in the same race, yet she's the biggest price of all of them.
First-time starter, 17-1 for Rudolph Brissett and a daughter Lemon Drop Kid, Leah Chase.
Yeah, Kendrick Carmouche will be aboard. You look at some of the gate drills, not too fast, but this horse did get a work over the training turf track at Saratoga, so they know what they got at 17-1.
The other Chad Brown filly and the half-sister to the turf champion, Lady Eli, Princessa Caroline.
Yeah, with that kind of pedigree and American Pharaoh as the sire, the board right now is saying probably not.
16-1, make it 17-1 on Sinister Siren, a first-time starter for John Terranova.
This is the kind of prices you need to play John Terranova at 17-1, because when he strikes, look at that ROI at first start. $6.32, so he can bring in some long shots, and this filly's got a good pedigree.
And here's a first-time starter for Dermot Magner, who Maggie mentioned reportedly been working sharp, daughter of Cairo Prince, Aziza.
It's interesting that Maggie pointed out this horse, she was surprised that she was on the turf. Well, I can agree with that from a pedigree standpoint. The pedigree says dirt, but the pedigree also doesn't suggest the horse can run, and somebody disagreed, paying a lot of money for a 2-year-old sale.
Approaching the 6-minute mark to post for the 5th here at Belmont Park as we take a look at the Chad Brown runner, who does have a race under her belt. And she was bet, although she wasn't favored in that debut. Let's take a look at it. It was back on September 1st at Saratoga.
I thought she was just atrocious in here. I mean, she's the number 2 horse right down the rail. You're seeing the one, Laughable, who drifts out badly. The winner comes between horses. Boxer Rebellion's on the rail, saved all the ground. She angles out a bit in the stretch. She did absolutely nothing. I mean, this was a Chad Brown runner that was bet first time out, that supposedly could run, and she didn't run particularly well. So unless something happened and she comes back 27 days later, why is she supposed to be better today?
Listen, I picked the 5.
Well, it's start number 2 of her career.
But Chad Brown has them ready first time. When you hear a Chad Brown runner can run first time out, they're supposed to run well. And it's not like she ran a tough second to somebody. She had a perfect trip. I thought she was bad. Doesn't mean she can't win today, but I don't know why you're supposed to play her off that.
So what do you do with the one Laughable? Because the race did break apart. Do you think the one Laughable is a playable horse?
That's why I preferred her, because the race came apart at the end, and she wasn't really bet that strongly. They bet the other odd pledger horse who won the race under her belt, and I thought she'd run better second time out. But I don't discount the 5-hour Little Jewel. I didn't think there was anything wrong with her performance.
No, not at all. I like that horse. And listen, the horse first time out got left, did not run. Second time out broke okay. Now you get blinkers. Now you get Cide. You never know what's going to happen with this type of horse. Might break a lot better. And you could see she was grinding a little bit there. So Louis might put her a lot closer into this race.
Don't we usually see those E5 silks in a different barn?
Well, Bob Edwards, E5 Racing, he's had his success with Chad Brown. Rushing Fall, of course, New Money Honey, Good Magic. But he has horses with a lot of different trainers. It just seems like the only trainer he's had any real success with has been Chad Brown.
These pretty famous silks as well. Live Oak Plantation silks with our Little Jewel currently on the board at 4-1. Let's get more as we head trackside to Maggie Wolfendale.
Thanks, Greg. And if you guys have watched our show up in Saratoga or watched our reel of bloopers or little comedy sketches, you remember that this gal, our Little Jewel, was the one who relieved herself in the post parade. And she had perfect timing because I just started talking about her and there she was. And I just couldn't stop laughing. But it kind of is representative of what I can gather of her demeanor, and that she's just this very relaxed filly. And I don't think we're going to see her maybe any closer with those blinkers on, or maybe that's what they're trying to do. It's just a shortcut. She did get a warm up away from the pony as Louis Saez does climb back aboard. But I like her. As Andy was pointing out, she's going to be the biggest price, and I could definitely see her, I should say biggest price of the ones coming out of that September 1st race. And I could definitely see her taking down this field, as she does have quite a bit of experience. As number 7, Princess Caroline, as I said, does not have the experience. It was a little green in the paddock, but that totally changed out on the racetrack for her, as Javier Castellano gave her a big warm-up away from the pony. She's this big striding filly. Like I said, she's may need a start just to get stronger. She's not taking that much money, but at least there was that step forward from backside to front side here on the racetrack. So definitely much more professional once she got out on the racetrack, Greg.
Maggie, thank you. I mean, look, it is very interesting to see how good American Pharoah has been, leading freshman sire in the country. He's been so good with the turf runners. A half to the great Lady Eli, and you're only seeing 9-2 on the board from this barn as well for Chad Brown.
The board is saying. And the funny thing, too, is that she hasn't budged. And we're looking at a board that basically hasn't budged. It's rare to see the odds board, especially in a 2-year-old race, be so stagnant. But I think we all feel this way because we've all spent a reasonable amount of time looking at the race and trying to handicap it. And I don't know about you, I don't feel like I was any smarter after an hour than I was when I first looked at it.
We could all look back at this race and say, what were we thinking with the 7?
It's possible. I think if the 7 wins here, it's probably going to be more of a condemnation of the field, the way she's bet. Lady Eli was, I think, odds on her debut. She beat a Sugar McGay horse, I think, that she almost never broke her maiden. She won by a nose.
Won the first 6 starts of her career,
by the way. She had a brutal trip in her first race. And I remember watching her second career start with Chad Brown, and it was the Miss Grillo. And Chad had 3 in there. And they were going towards the gate, and I didn't bet. And he said to me, well, we'll see if I'm right. And I said, about what? And he said, I can't believe Lady Eli's the 3rd choice. I think she'll drown these horses. And he was right. She absolutely crushed the field, and as you say, went on to do some pretty great things on the racetrack.
Multiple Grade 1 winner, champion, came back. We thought her career at one point might be over. She was off for a year. Her life was in jeopardy, and she came back to become just as brilliant as she had been before.
No, and I mean, the work done, obviously, by the vets, to give them a lot of credit, but also with Cherie DeVoe, who worked with Chad Brown, and Chad Brown as well, and other people there. You can't say enough about it and what they did, because really, she could have died. And the fact that she came back and did what she did was nothing short of remarkable. But frankly, it's somewhat remarkable she lived.
And whenever she ran, especially at Saratoga, what a fan favorite.
Yeah.
And a crowd that she would draw. Yeah. As we take a look at a first-time starter here, Aziza for Dermot Magner.
What do you do with this horse? Debuting with Lasix. You get Johnny V, Cairo Prince, Pioneer of the Nile, the same sire of American Pharoah, Pioneer of the Nile.
He's had some success, the turf sire.
By the way, I was talking about the 2 a little bit earlier. Brambleberry. Bramble Queen is the half to this one. This one for Michael Dini lost by a nostril at Saratoga.
Bramble Queen did.
Yeah, yes, with Jose Lascano, and a horse that actually she lost. She ran second, and then she ran fifth in her subsequent effort at Belmont.
She ran here the other day.
Yeah, she ran here the other day. So there's a lot of great pedigrees in here. She's a nice little runner. So the 2 I would not dismiss at 13-1. Maybe to hit your triples or supers.
And yeah, let's look. She's been in 2 stakes races. Talking about the 2 Brambleberry, and that second stake of the sorority when they stretched her out to a mile, she was one of the favorites in that race too.
She was. I think that was
suspect field.
She's a big price. I don't want to knock big prices. I didn't see her, but she's a big price. I mean, the board is saying the same things we've been saying, right? I mean, the 1, 4, and 5 coming out of the same race are all the same price. I mean, I respect Boxer Rebellion only because they liked her in her debut. So there must have been something they've seen. But based on her debut, I can't like her here. They're all the same price, the 3 out of that debut. The 7, Princess Caroline, the half delay Eagle Eye just went back to 9-2. It's like nobody in this race is getting bet at all, right? It's the most stagnant board, especially of 2-year-olds that I've ever seen.
4 horses between 3-1 or 9-2 on the board. 3 of them at 3-1 or 7-2. But your favorite, who's been the favorite for most of the wagering, Laughable from the inside, showed speed first time out in those E5 Racing Thoroughbred Silks. Bob Edwards and his family. For trainer Todd Pletcher. Let's head it upstairs to the voice of horse racing's Triple Crown for the call. You're watching Super Saturday coverage on Fox Sports 2 from Belmont Park. Here's Larry Colmus.
Here comes Cove Bay into the starting gate. Steps forward and in. Here is Sinister Siren moving in, along with Boxer Rebellion. Now the rider is off of Boxer Rebellion. Errata Ortiz hopping off, and they'll load her riderless. She walks forward and in, and Errata Ortiz getting back aboard. Just one left to go in, and that's Aziza, with John Velasquez up to the outside stall, and they're all in line. They're off. Good beginning for Laughable, who goes out to the early lead from Brambleberry, who came out running in second position. These 2, Princessa Caroline is running in third on the outside of Boxer Rebellion. Then Our Little Jewel, break of another 2, back to Cove Bay, who sits back about 7 lengths off the lead. Then it's Aziza. The trailers are Leah Chase and Sinister Siren as they head on to the backstretch. It's Laughable in front, Brambleberry a length behind, running in second. Princessa Caroline's on the outside of Boxer Rebellion, who's down toward the inside after an opening quarter mile in 23.77 seconds. A length and a half farther back to Our Little Jewel, who's racing about 4 lengths off the lead. Cove Bay's got 9 to make up the backstretch, and then Aziza to the outside. The trailer's still Leah Chase and Sinister Siren. They're well behind, 15 lengths from first to last as they continue up the backstretch in pursuit of Jose Ortiz and Laughable, who complete a 48.83 half and lead at a length and a half. Brambleberry on the inside, Princessa Caroline on the outside, heads apart second and third. Boxer Rebellion fourth on the inside. Our Little Jewel sent along fifth by 3. Then Aziza trying to pick up stride from sixth. Cove Bay's had enough. And then it's Leah Chase, and they make their way around the far turn. Laughable still the leader, 3/4 and 112.4. Here's Princessa Caroline moving up alongside at the top of the stretch. These 2 hook up with Princessa Caroline on the outside, poking a neck in front. Laughable battles back on the inside. It's these 2 at the 8th pole, and they're way clear of the others. Boxer Rebellion is third. Princessa Caroline pulling away by 2. Laughable second as they come down to the wire. Princessa Caroline speeds away by 4.5 under the wire to Laughable. And then it was Aziza and Boxer Rebellion.
Half-sister to Lady Eli did just as Lady Eli did in her debut with a win here. She reeled off, of course, 6 in a row, but she gets the job done. Chad Brown, Javier Castellano.
It seemed like there were 2 races going on, right? A very, very good race between the 1 Laughable and the 7 Princessa Caroline and everybody else.
Yeah, it really was.
But, that was a very nice performance for a horse that took no money. They put her close to the pace. She chalked 3 wide and just galloped.
Yeah, and you know, the top 5 horses that were running by themselves, I got to give credit to the 9, Aziza. That horse actually ran on to be
a very distant third.
A very distant third, but nobody else was running. You can see the 1 pulled up a little bit and stretched there. Jose Ortiz, I don't know what happened there on the crossover.
The 7 came over a little bit, but I don't think I hope that we don't have to sit through an endless inquiry on something that didn't matter, but the 7 probably did come over a bit there.
We'll see if we can get a look at the head-on and see if there's anything to it.
And again, the 4 was traveling very, very well, Boxer Rebellion, and just nothing. Now watch the 1 right here. You can tell that he's fighting a little bit, Castellano, that the 7's starting to lug in a tiny bit, but Laughable still got something left. And so now Javier is going to go left-handed, and he's staying left-handed, but then Jose's like, I got to get out of here. So you're going to have to look at the head-on, but I don't think there's going to be a change because nobody passed the 1.
Go ahead.
Was that a bit of a late reaction there to sell
that? That was an acting job.
Yeah.
But the 7 did come over a little bit, but I don't think anything that matters. And the connection, people who bred this horse kept the horse this time. Obviously could have sold her for a lot of money, but
this view may tell us more.
Any binoculars, but here we go.
So Green Silk's on the outside.
Hitting her left-handed, so she was coming in a little bit. Not Javier's fault, because he was hitting her lefty, and she came in, but it's nothing that's going to matter.
I think Jose was like, you know what, I'm seeing that elbow up. This horse has gotten me beat. Let me just back out.
Jose wouldn't bother claiming.
Yep,
He got beat in the pole. He knew he wasn't winning, and we don't need to waste everybody's time.
To today for Javier Castellano, should this stand, and there's Chad Brown. I said, are we going to look foolish here? That man, Chad Brown, with a half-sister to the great Lady Eli.
If you would have
what
told
were we
me
thinking?
Half-sister to Lady Eli out of American Pharoah is running for Chad Brown, and you're going to get 9-2 out of say, you're crazy.
Well, you say she's going to finish 8th. Is what you would
You let the board scare you away. 9-2 on Princessa Caroline. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
Well, he's very familiar with this family as Princessa Caroline. Chad wins at first asking, kind of emulating big sister Lady Eli. This has to be a cool win for you.
Yeah, it is. You know, it's special to have the sister. I'm lucky to have her, so I thank the owners for trusting us with her. And doesn't quite have the turn of foot as you saw as the sister. She did it a little differently, but she's always trained with a lot of power and stamina, and I think that'll be her friend moving forward.
Now, Chad, she was kind of cold on the board. Now, we do see an objection up there. We've watched it. Jose kind of taking back there. But given the stands and everything like that, 9-2. I mean, we thought maybe she'd take a little more money. Do you have any inclination of why that happened?
Well, you know, her work, she's been working locally down here. She never got an opportunity to get onto the turf, although we felt comfortable that she was going to be a turf horse. So with just some average dirt works, maybe that, you know, the word really wasn't out on her in the morning per se. So, but we'll take it nevertheless.
And also Wildcat coming up later in the Beldame. Obviously, Midnight Bisou, much the horse to be undefeated this year. But Wildcat last year, as you brought her along, was a filly, or a mare, I should say, that took a while to get going. Is that kind of been the case this year as well?
It has been, and you know, she just doesn't like Saratoga. You know, whether she's good enough to beat Midnight Bisou at Belmont remains to be seen. But I know that she likes Belmont a whole lot better than she likes Saratoga.
All right, looking forward to it, Chad. Well, best of luck here. Hopefully this stands for you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right, Princessa Caroline winning here. We'll see what transpires as far as the steward's booth is concerned, but also Wildcat. She's looking for back-to-back Beldames, guys.
Maggie, thanks. Yeah, the defending champ. We'll see if she can get back to what she showed us in this race last year. Big task against Midnight Bisou, but we have an objection going on here in this 5th. Chad Brown and Javier Castellano not home free yet here. There's just been taking a look at this upstairs.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised that Jose put up the objection. But again, we don't know. The stewards could have put it up. Todd Pletcher could have made him put it up. There's a lot of different things.
Well, now they're saying the stewards are on the inquiry, but it was the jockey's objection.
Here's the lanes here now.
Right now, if I knew the 7 was paying $11, I would pay $10.99 for every ticket on her. There's no chance this horse comes down, and no reason for it to come down.
Yeah. It is just, here's the thing. The rule is now it did not change the order of finish, right? Is that what we're going with? Or if it's outrageous or something outrageous, right?
Javier didn't even do anything wrong. He was hitting left-handed.
Now, was the 1 ever going to win this race?
No, the race was, no, there's no chance this horse comes down.
Did the 7 do something completely outrageous? I'm asking you, Greg.
No. She drifted in a little bit.
No, you're right about that. I don't believe that.
So did it change a placing?
No.
Okay, so why are we wasting our time on this?
Well, no.
Yeah,
the steward should look. There's a jockey's objection. First of all, the jockey's objected. I don't know why the stewards got involved in the inquiry, but that's their decision, not mine.
But you also have to look at this, too, not just from a betting...
For the fans.
May get days.
Yeah,
So other things
yeah,
maybe.
Of course, absolutely. No, I agree. But also, listen, the fans see it. They see that Jose Ortiz stands up in mid-stretch, and you want them to say, we took a look at this and made the right decision.
I have no problem with due diligence.
With you completely.
Here's my other part is, Jose Ortiz is probably one of Chad Brown's main riders. You think he wants to claim foul against Chad?
Yeah, that's why a very good chance it was not him.
Exactly.
And just like that.
They said a jockey's objection.
It is over.
I don't think that Chad Brown resents Jose Ortiz claiming foul, and I think if Chad Brown claimed laughable, he would be okay with him claiming it. He's just trying to do the right thing by the connections and the people who bet. I don't have any problem with that. I don't think Jose ever thought the horse was getting put up either, by the way.
So the objection sign is now down, and I believe we can take some pictures.
Yes, we can.
Really? Pictures? You know, I love it when we take pictures.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant down in the winner's circle, the winning connections. If you'd like to go down there, though, and join everyone, you could.
I like when they come up and take pictures of us. They do it every day, don't they?
And we have been getting some new headshots soon to be on the Nairo website.
Oh, it's on there, and it's pretty exciting.
9-2,
Oh, yeah.
first time out from the Chad Brown barn, a half-sister to the great lady Eli. Somehow escapes at that price. We're going to take a break. We'll be back. More coming up right after this. Stay with us.
Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
That time at Oaklawn, when a home run made for a big night. Bet on your favorite teams at Oaklawn's new race and sports book. Oaklawn, a new level of action, a new level of excitement.
The thermal spring waters our city is named after are known for their legendary healing properties. Their thirst-quenching properties are pretty nice, too. Hot Springs, Arkansas. It's different here. Come see why.
Not since Danzig has a stallion seen this much early success. He's not just setting records. He's making history. The best started stud ever. Uncle Mo. The momentum continues.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races. On the heels of this number 7 Princessa Caroline getting the win in race number 5, I'm Acacia Courtney. We'll be taking over for Greg Wolf for just a little bit. Somehow managed to pay $11 to win. Paul LaDuca and Andy Sterling still joining me here on the desk, and got put up here in this race. But guys, we will stick with the 2-year-old theme as we look ahead to race 6. The other 2-year-old Colts taking center stage coming up next.
Yeah, I wonder if this race, a 6-furlong race in the dirt for 2-year-old Colts, where they're all first-time stars, the only one with experience was scratched, if this will be a sort of mirror image of the last race where people aren't going to really know who to bet. Now, looking at the multi-race bets, the number 10, Toledo, is favored. That may be somewhat a faction of a Chad Brown to Chad Brown double. I mean, it's not like that as a pedigree screaming to go short, and the 9 mandatory is another American Pharaoh that we have heard some good things about in the morning.
Yeah, and Ethos, the 6, is the son of Ghost Tapper, taking a lot of money too, $550,000 at the sale, and Jimmy Jerkins, who doesn't crank him up at 6%. When you see Jimmy Jerkins and John Kimmel horses taking money, those are 2 trainers that don't really win a ton with their 2-year-olds, although Johnny's got some really good 2-year-olds this year. That means they're both live. I would think the 6 and the 9 are both live.
Ethos is not bred to go 6 furlongs in the dirt, but doesn't mean he can't win here.
Quite a bit of turf pedigree on the bottom side as well, with one sibling winning at 2, but a lot of turf pedigree there, but a very interesting race coming up. That will be race number 6, which we will take a look at coming up next. Mandatory, of course, the half to I'm a Chatterbox. She banked $2.3 million. So you see these big pedigrees coming up in these 2-year-old races, and that always, I think, makes things a little bit interesting. Are they going to live up to what their family is?
Right.
Done?
It's also funny because, you know, you mentioned that mandatory is a half to Mima Chatterbox, who won over $2 million. Yeah. But also a half to a lot of horses that did very little running on the racetrack. And sometimes you might end up saying that I'm a Chatterbox was just a freak in that family, and the rest of them weren't very good. And pedigrees are funny. You've seen a lot of very good racehorse brood mares that weren't particularly good producers. And a lot of times in looking at pedigrees, it seems like the best producers are ones that ran claiming races. So you never really know.
You don't.
This is a little bit of that superstar power with American Pharaoh being a sire. Went for $400,000 at the Gulfstream sale back in March. Went 10 flat in that work. And I remember there was just a lot of buzz about that. But interesting to see what we're going to get from that one. Andy, you mentioned Toledo to the outside. Chad Brown looking for his own double here. Into Mischief, very precocious. Perhaps a little bit more distance on the bottom side. What do you do with a first-time starter like this? 4-1 right now on the board.
I don't know. Listen, Chad Brown can win with these horses. In general, he's more effective with his firsters and turf races these days. This horse does not have a pedigree that says this horse is going to be a 6-furlong horse. But you know what? Doesn't mean the horse won't do it in the racetrack. I mean, you mentioned Ethos, same thing, no pedigree. Sometimes it's counterintuitive. You see the pedigree and it suggests one thing, and the horse gets bet in the board that suggests something completely different.
Yeah, you have a lot of horses in here, like the one, Shug's horse and American Pharaoh, that might be looking for his next start. The 3 could be looking for his next start, a Street Scent Son. Like Andy said, there's a lot of horses that might want to go longer. Then you look at like the 5, Flatter Me, and Tim Hills can win with horses like this. And here's a straight sprint pedigree, Flatter out of a trippy mare.
I agree. 350,000 this horse. I think Flatter Me could be very dangerous. This is a very interesting race. Flatter Me seems to be one of the few pedigrees that suggest he's supposed to be able to run effectively at the 6 furlongs in the dirt.
And we haven't seen that many horses here at Belmont this meet from Tim Hills, but he can get a horse ready to go first time out. Only had 4 runners, one of them a winner. Luis Saya is going to be up today.
Yeah, he's 14%, got a great ROI, and you're right, Acacia, he can get one ready. This one for Seagull Capital, and you're right, Saez gets aboard, so maybe the horse has some speed. We're taking a look at the 8, Modernist for Billy Mott, and it seems like just when you think Mott could be cold, this horse is 6-1, getting bet a little bit with his main man, Junior Alvarado.
The Dam side is very strong here. The second, the Dam herself is a half to Sweet Catamine, who's a very, very good runner you're familiar with, as well as Life is Sweet, who's also terrific. Bill Mott, with his first-time starters, he's much more effective with fillies than colts. He does not have great numbers, to say the least, with his colt first-time starters. He has done much better with fillies over time.
Life is Sweet. A lot of people forget when Zenyatta won the Classic over the Pro Ride at Santa Anita.
She won the
Life is Sweet won the distaff. Andy's right, over the Pro Ride. That was a great weekend for John Sheriffs.
It was the ladies' classic, please.
The ladies' classic. Sorry.
Get that right.
Come on, Paul. Sorry.
Wait, I got an even better one. You know the second.
I mean, the pedigrees we're getting the last 2 races are unreal.
The funny thing is, the second Dam of the 7 Trash Talker is a horse that you and I were talking about in the show just last week.
Who?
And she just passed away, Pepper's Pride.
Oh, Pepper's
the
Pride.
19 for 19
for 19, yeah.
New Mexico?
Louisiana. Was she Louisiana?
Or New Mexico?
There was one in Louisiana and there was one in New Mexico that was winning all the races.
She was 19 for 19.
19 for 19.
I think we need a trivia show with Andy and Paul. I think that'd be fun.
I'm all for trivia.
I think that'd be fun.
No, when it goes past 80 or like in the 80s, like late 80s, Andy's crushes me when it comes to that. He's got a memory like I've never seen before when it comes to races. But yeah, I remember Pepper's Pride. She was a buzz who won so many races in a row and fun to watch. I remember.
19 for 19. And she just, I think she died last week, right? Like a week ago Monday or something, about 10, 12 days ago. So pretty cool to see her her name in the PPs. I like that about looking up pedigrees. One of the fun things when you have some time, when you start looking up pedigrees, is just to dig around a little bit and see some of the names and see old names. It's always a little fun.
It certainly is. And sometimes you end up in what almost seems like a black hole and you're spending an hour looking at pedigrees when you're a little bit of a horse nerd like all of us are
up here.
It's like
going to YouTube. It's like going to YouTube and sometimes watching old European races. I found myself doing it at like midnight and looking up and it's 3 in the morning and I'm watching old replays of Fantastic Light and Galileo.
Yeah, right?
Well, if you are a pedigree nerd like all of us are here, you've definitely been treated to some good ones, as Paul mentioned, with these pair of 2-year-old races here. From a betting standpoint, guys, when you have a 2-year-old race like this and you're just looking at it on paper, maybe you're playing some multi-race sequences, is this kind of a race where you just go on pedigrees or stats? How do you take a stab at it?
To be honest, I prefer races where horses have run. Even horses that have run once and run 5th or 6th, you can find out something about them because it's very hard. Sometimes I use the odds board as counterintuitive. Obviously, there's a big tip on Ethos. He's not bred to be effective at 6 furlongs. Why is he even starting here? And he's getting bet like they know. The 1 Jewelstone. This horse is not bred to be a 6-furlong horse. The dam herself, Hessenite, was one of my favorite horses. She ran here for trainer David Donk. She's very effective on turf, especially on the ground. She's produced one foal, though, and that horse didn't win, but ran a 75 buyer in the dirt. And right now for Shug McGahee, who's not that great with first-time stars, this horse is getting bet to be 6-1 here.
You cannot beat Andy Serling. You're right, Andy. Pepper's Pride, Zia Park, Sunland, Zia.
Yeah,
they all reside in New Mexico. You're pretty good, my friend.
I think I just saw it the other day.
It's recent. It's recency in there.
Got a little bit of a head start. Who was the horse in Louisiana?
I got to find the Louisiana horse that won like 20 in a row, too.
Happy Ticket.
It might be Happy Ticket. It's Happy Ticket.
Saratoga. She won at Saratoga.
Happy Ticket.
Happy Ticket. All right. All right. Well, there's some good trivia for you, and we heard some good pedigrees in there. So I like the little throwback horse there. Looking to Louisiana. We're looking to New Mexico. We're covering all of the bases. We've got a couple in here by American Pharoah. Jewel Stone to the inside, getting a little bit of attention out of a graded stakes winning mare named Hessenite for trainer Shug McGahee. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll bring you race number 6, this very interesting 2-year-old race, and we've got a whole lot more coming up on today's edition of America's Day at the Races. Stay with us.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
We're gonna go traveling.
Eclipse champion Blame was considered by many as the breakout stallion of 2018. His top runners included Grade 1 winner and Eclipse Award finalist Marley's Freedom, plus Grade 1 winner Fault, and graded stakes winners Morale, Beyond Blame, Miss Kentucky, and Blame. This year, his 2-year-olds have sold up to $700,000. Outstanding results, outstanding value. Blame, standing at Claiborne Farm.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
You're watching America's Day at the Races. Welcome to those of you who are just joining us on this beautiful Saturday afternoon at Belmont Park. We'll be bringing you a great day of racing, including the Jockey Club Gold Cup. Hi, everyone. I'm Acacia Courtney, going to be hosting for you for just a little bit longer, joined by Paul LaDuca. We'll have Andy Serling somewhere over there shortly. Will be joining us. But, Paul, we've had a few races under our belt so far. Good crowd on hand today, too, and just a really spectacular day for you.
It really was. If you just joined us, Imperial Hint won the Vosburgh in race number 4 and got a standing ovation from the crowd here. It was actually really cool.
So.
Rightfully so. A horse, a ton of heart. Unbelievable race, being Firenze Fire. And so now we'll start the Empire 6, which has grown up to almost close to 500,000. 20-cent variety, so maybe you can find the winner here and then move on, because there are some singles. Midnight Bisou, I think, will be a single. You have to figure out who you want in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, but I think Midnight Bisou will help that 20-cent ticket. So the Empire is playable today, I think.
Certainly is, and the Jockey Club Gold Cup, a compact field, but you have some real quality there, including Travers winner Code of Honor for Shug McGahee. He's your morning line favorite, and he is the type of horse, Polly, that just looks like Shug has finally got him right. Now, speaking to our colleague Gary Stevens earlier, and he reminded me, this is a late foal. He's a May foal. He had a lot of physical catching up to do. 3-time Jockey Club Gold Cup winning trainer Shug McGahee looking to make it 4 with Code of Honor.
He really knows how to get him ready. He does. And Code of Honor, to me, a lot of people think, oh, he needs to lay back and make one run. I still go back to that first race when he went gate to wide. I don't think he really needs to be laying all the way back.
We'll be bringing you races 6 through 11 on America's Day at the Races, brought to you by America's Best Racing. It's fast and firm. The sun is shining. It feels like just the beginning of fall as we wrap up September, which is amazing. We turn our attention now to race number 6, which is a 2-year-old race. The Colts and Geldings taking center stage. We've got some fantastic pedigrees in here. And taking the early money is the number 6, Ethos, who's 3-1.
Yeah, son of Ghost Zap driver, Mr. Greeley Mare. You don't see many Mr. Greeley Mares that much anymore, but Joel Rosario, take them out. He already had a winner for Jason Service on the turf a little bit earlier. Debuts with Lasix and is taking a ton of money at the window for Jimmy Jerkins.
I do want to remind you to play the races today and every day with the Naira Bets account. New members earn a $200 new member sign-up bonus by entering the promo code LIVE at sign-up and betting $200 in your first 14 days as a member. Sign up now at NairaBets.com or download the Naira Bets app. And better get to it, because here's our post-parade for race number 6, beginning with the 1, Jewelstone.
Yeah, maybe this is a hunch play to the 1 and the 2, and I'll get to the 2 here in a little bit. American Pharaoh Colt here debuts with Lasix, 7-1.
Americanus is the number 2 for Mark Hennig, a colt by Warfront.
Yeah, the dam here, Sapphires and Diamonds. I'm sure every woman likes that. Like Jewelstone, the 1, but the 2 taking a little bit of money too for Mark Hennig.
The 3 is Beachwalker for Kieran McLaughlin.
Yeah, whenever you see Godolphin, you know this horse is bred well. Street Sense out of a Lemon Drop Kid mare. I would think maybe down the line or longer.
Jose Lascano going to be in the iron scratch, the 4 via Condios, as we look at the 5 Flatter Me for Tim Hills.
We talked about this colt. I think it's going to be fast. Might be one to catch with Louis aboard, and Tim Hills can get one ready.
The horse taking the early money at 7-2 now is the 6 Ethos for Jimmy Jerkins.
Gotta love a little gray out on the racetrack. Jimmy does really well with his 2-year-olds. Very surprised. He's 20% with his 2-year-olds, so this could be live money here.
The 7 Trash Talker, maybe those that end up getting this priced horse in will be doing just that.
Yeah, right. I was never much of a trash talker to the batters. That's the one question people always ask me. Did you ever talk to the batters? I'm like, nah, not really. I left them alone.
Here's the 8 Modernist.
Yeah, this one by Uncle Mo, a colt out of a Bernardini mare for Marty and Pam Wygod.
Another big purchase price at $400,000 is the 9 Mandatory.
Yeah, it seems like the 8 and the 9 are the 2 horses taking some play at the window. You can see the 9, a little precocious there. Looks like he's ready to go.
And on his toes on the racetrack to wrap things up is the 10 Toledo.
Yeah, Toledo, a son of Into Mischief, the hot sire at Saratoga throughout the meet. And like you said earlier, Acacia did is very precocious, and Chad Brown can get him ready. This one, a homebred for Juddmonte.
We have a great field of 2-year-olds coming up, but a little bit later on today, we'll be looking at the Jockey Club Gold Cup, and we'll take a trip down memory lane to the 2012 Jockey Club Gold Cup with Flat Out, who won this race back-to-back. In fact, 2011 with Scooter Dickey, then 2012 when with Bill Mott. Only a few horses have gotten to win this prestigious race twice, and it really is a prestigious race.
Grace and the Woodward as well won this race twice. Finished his career winning Cigar Mile.
Yeah.
I mean, he could do it all. What a neat horse he was.
The problem with him was if he didn't have bad feet, he could have been anything. That was his issue. Scooter always used to say, gosh, this horse is chronically got bad feet. And then when Bill got him, Bill goes, he's got bad feet, but when he's sound, he's a runner. But
look at that list.
That's an unbelievable
list.
list.
Away, Slew of Gold. Creme Fraiche beat Turkoman and another Java Gold. No, Java Gold. He beat Java Gold by a nose. He beat Turkoman by a nose, actually.
Was that close?
It's here for both of them. No, well, Skywalker beat him in the Classic.
Okay.
When it was kind of a speedy track. And that was his next start after he beat, I think, Creme Fraiche, because Java Gold was 1987 when they had a Hollywood Park.
I love it.
Next year.
By Flatter, the number 5, Flatter Me. By Flatter here in this upcoming 6th race. And these are horses without experience. So let's check in with Maggie Wolfendale, who's gotten a good look at these. And she's going to help us out. Maggie, we have these horses all starting for the first time. What are you seeing?
Well, it was a very excitable paddock, to say the least. Number 3, a long shot in here, Beachwalker, very studdish, got them all riled up. We had somebody trip and fall down, knocked over by their horse. When the jock was about to get up, there was a lot going on in the paddock. And as you mentioned, Acacia, some nice pedigrees, but some interesting pedigrees considering that this is a 6.5 furlong sprint, 6 furlong, excuse me, on the dirt. A lot of turf in here, as we'll check in with one who is bred for the turf. That's the one, Jewel Stone, for Shug McGahee. And, I mean, the American Pharaohs I've seen, they like the turf. We just saw an American Pharaoh after Lady Eli went on the turf. This horse looks like a turf horse. I don't get it. Maybe, since it is counterintuitive, it's a positive for Shug McGahee. He's just very long, leggy. He looks like a turf horse. I'm going to be surprised if he does be able to compete going the 6 furlongs on the dirt. Maybe he is a dirt horse, but maybe he also wants a bit longer. I watched his breezes. He's a little slow out of the gate, but he does move very nicely. So we'll see what we get. Numbers 5 is Flatter Me for Tim Hills. As you guys had mentioned, worked very nicely, 10-2. The Fasig Tipton March sale, really not asked for much, just very efficient mover. He's a big horse who covers a lot of ground. He just looks like a racehorse, and he looks fit enough. He's very mature looking, very mature acting, and I wouldn't be surprised if this horse from somewhat lower profile connections can make some noise here, as we'll check in with number 6, Ethos, who was taking all the early money. And again, one that has a bit more turf pedigree. As you look back a generation, this horse's dam is half to Ironicus on leave. Norumbega, who was a little bit more dirt, I will admit that, and maybe he does look a little bit like that, but certainly that gray carrying through in the line. Looks like a turf horse. Again, I don't really get it. And watching his latest breeze, or his breeze, I should say, 2 back, he was by himself, and he moved like a turf horse over this Belmont main track. So, again, another one that's going to prove me wrong here if he is that good on the main track. As we'll take a look at number 9, Mandatory. I like this horse for trainer John Kimmel. Just very fit, very athletic, very sound of mind. Yeah, he got a little keyed up when he went with the pony, but Dylan took him away. Dylan's been on him in the mornings, working him, so he knows him very well. He settled down beautifully again as he's on the backside. This horse looks ready to fire, and John Kimmel, he's had success with his 2-year-olds this year, and he has said that this crop of 2-year-olds is probably his best that he's had in several years, and he's been doing this about 30 years or so. As number 10 is Toledo for trainer Chad Brown. If you want the dirt sprinter, this is the guy who looks like the out-and-out dirt sprinter. He's a little smaller, shorter coupled, looks really fit, has those nicely developed hindquarters, just looks quick. And for me, he's the one that I would take, as the public is saying that too, given the conditions of this race, Acacia.
Maggie, thank you so much. Definitely some question marks here in race number 6. Maybe the 10 Toledo guys is just ready to roll first time out. We have some questions with pedigrees, but some great insight there from Maggie getting a look at these horses. And Paul, you mentioned this. Into Mischief has been the hot sire lately.
Yeah. He's very precocious. And when you come to a lot of these horses, Maggie's telling you, listen, some of these horses want turf. Some of them want them down the line. And I look at the 5 and the 10, and I look at those 2 horses as being the horses that probably are ready to win today, but you don't know.
Maggie didn't like the 5 for the dirt.
I know.
She liked the 5. I have no idea here. I picked the 9 Mandatory. I think 6 for the dirt she didn't like. Okay,
yeah.
I have to think the 6 is live the way he's bet. We'll see. The 9 is who I liked. I think he's dead in the board.
You brought up an interesting point there, Andy. The fact that the 9 Mandatory went for so much money, he's got the pedigree, and he's 9-2 right now on the board. That seems like a really big question mark here.
I agree. And John Kimmel even talked about him, I remember, with Dave Grenig. In an interview coming out of Saratoga, he was looking forward to getting him to run, and he's not getting bet like they're particularly excited about him. I mean, the only horse, frankly, getting bet here is the 10 Toledo. We'll see. I mean, this is not a pedigree that screams 6 furlongs. Maggie liked him, though, and the public's betting him down to 9-5. We'll see. The money's saying that it's the 10 and nobody else.
And Ethos has crawled. I mean, he was 2-1 when he opened.
He's gone up. Yeah. Gone up. A very intriguing race coming up, as it's 9-5 currently on the 10 Toledo to the outside as they start to load. A field of 9, all first-time starters. The 2-year-old boys taking center stage here. There goes the 5 Flatter Me by Flatter. We talked about him a little bit early on, and the progeny that he has produced now standing at Claiborne Farm. A little bit hesitant to go into the gate is the 2 Americanus. opening up the front of the gate there. And that's the tricky part with these kinds of races as well. These horses, they've never done this before.
Yeah, we had a 2-year-old filly race the other day that was tough to get them low. Now, these are 2-year-old Colts and Geldings. They could be worse because they're being studdish. Maggie talking about the 3, Beachwalker got everybody stirred up. I'm wondering if they're going to wait a little longer to load him in so he doesn't get everybody riled up in the gate. But they got half of him in, though, Acacia. They're really working the 2, try to get that open space for him to get him in there.
And that's what they do. They open the front of the gate, so it's not so intimidating for them to walk into that closed space, as it looks like they've got him in now. I always say 2-year-olds are like Christmas lights. One goes out, they all go out.
Yeah, that's true.
So it kind of intrigues the rest of them. It looks like they've got him in now, just a couple more left to load. We'll head up to the voice of New York Racing for the call of race 6, and that's Larry Colmus.
And one left to load here. It is the current favorite, Toledo, who comes up to the outside stall and goes in. They're all in line. They're off. Ethos and Trash Talker. These two break sharply. Americanus came out running in 3rd. Then it's Flatterby in 4th. Toledo going up on the outside in company with Mandatory. Then Beachwalker in behind them. Jewelstone and Modernist are trailing the field early. Trash Talker on top, racing for the half-mile pole. The leader by a length and a half. Ethos running in 2nd. Toledo circling up on the outside, and Americanus has the rail after a 22.76 initial quarter mile. Flatterby is next, racing about 4 lengths off the lead. Then Mandatory on the outside. They're being followed by Beachwalker, who's down toward the rail. Modernist is next, and Jewelstone is 8 lengths behind Trash Talker, who rounds the far turn with a length and a half lead. 1 off the rail, it's Americanus in 2nd. This half mile goes up in 46.54 seconds, and at the top of the stretch, Trash Talker is the leader. Americanus, Toledo 3rd on the outside, and they're followed by Flatterby. In the middle, Mandatory trying to put in a bid. A furlong to go. Trash Talker still there. Here comes Americanus. Here comes Toledo. Here comes on the outside Mandatory, and they're coming down to the wire, and it's Americanus. Americanus won it. Toledo was 2nd, and then Mandatory and Trash Talker.
The 2, Americanus, maybe a little bit hesitant to go into the starting gate, but gets the job done in what was an interesting race on paper. Turned out to be a very interestingly run race on the track as well.
Yeah, it wasn't a particularly fast race. 1:10.4 is not exactly compelling for these horses, but Americanus got a very nice trip and a nice ride by Manny Franco, and Mark Hennig had this one ready to go.
He did, and you can see Mark walking down, and we talked about all the pedigrees in here. This is a son of Warfront. Had a really good trip. Was tracking the 7 in here. Trash Talker, the Pepper's Pride, or showed a ton of speed.
That ran well.
Yeah, look at the 10 on the outside and the 9. They were both trying to swing way to the outside. And I think Irad Ortiz thought he had a ton of horse on the 10, but the 10 started lugging out just a tad on him.
Well, he was
got
sort of
pushed out by the 6 a little bit.
I agree. It felt like when the 6, and Maggie was been right, maybe he wasn't handling the dirt, because it felt like he was running, and he just didn't seem to do any running after that. But you're right. But I'll tell you, for the 10 horse to be bet like that, that was a dismal performance for a Chad Brown Judd Montfort to be 8-5, because he got pushed out a little bit, but he didn't really have any punch. I know the winner had a good trip and a good ride, but I don't think it was enough of an excuse for the 10. And I'm going to tell you something. They went, I understand it's Imperial Hint. I don't know how fast this race was overall. I'll have to give it some thought.
Almost 111.
Yeah, I mean, they went about 16 lengths slower than the stake race did. First time starting 2-year-old, to be fair.
Let's check in with Maggie Wolfendale.
Acacia, thank you. And I just noticed something with the 10 here, Toledo, going around the turn, and unfortunately it kind of hindered the chances of number 9 as well in here, Mandatory, as it looked like Irad had a ton of horse because the way he was pulling, but he was getting out. He had a whole handful of his left rein. You could see him flash the whip there at him because he is getting out so badly. So if this horse does learn to run straight, then fine. You can see it right there. He's having to grab his inside rein there because this horse wants to bear out. So kind of carrying the 9 a bit wide as well. Dylan really didn't have much choice there. So a little bit of greenness from a lot of these horses, but definitely number 2, Americanus. He was all about his business once they sprung the latch. Acacia.
Maggie, thank you. Bringing up some good points about Toledo, and from a riding perspective, remember these jockeys don't have any use of really too much of their legs. So grabbing the rein, using that to angle him in what's supposed to be the right position. When a horse gets out like that, especially an inexperienced horse, and maybe they lose some ground, that really can hinder them.
No, it can. And if you watch the replay of the race, you could tell Dylan Davis was following Toledo. And what ended up happening was, Maggie's dead right, it cost the 9 at least second, because the 9 was trying to make a run, but the 10 just hung him out way wide.
And while that was going on, the winner,
was getting away.
was getting a perfect trip down the inside.
A little bit of some inexperience on display here, but one horse that had plenty of experience and did it well was the Gutsy Gelding, 2004 Jockey Club Gold Cup winner and 2003 Kentucky Derby winner, Funny Cide. There he is. We'll talk about him and some other Jockey Club Gold Cup winners coming back after this.
Run Happy, you know, he's 16-2, he's a beautiful horse. There's stamina on top and bottom, and he's stamping his horses with that. I think they look big and fast, and like horses that'll go on and run a distance as well as short.
He was a fantastic racehorse. If he passes on his ability as a racehorse, I think he's a slam dunk to be a great sire. Very athletic looking and beautiful bodied horse as well.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Coming on strong.
Minute to stardom. On top, coming down to the final 16th, opening up a 2-length lead.
My love for you.
Wild About Star, shining big here in Berry 1.
Oh, why did I wrong?
Testing, 1, 2. The Star Guitar filly leads Champagne Diva close to home. It's testing, 1, 2.
Feel my love for you. Coming on strong.
Piranha, the leader in fly control and wipe and spray products, now has premium equine grooming products. Introducing Aloe Pro Shampoo, an organic concentrate enriched with vitamins A, D, and E, and silk protein. Piranha Detangler, a dry comb-through detangling spray that conditions, moisturizes, keeping tail and mane manageable. And Shine Baby Shine, a water-based coat conditioner that leaves a show ring shine every time. Visit PiranhaEat.com to see our full line of equine products, and for a limited time, use promo code NYRA to receive a 10% discount on your order. Piranha on, pests gone.
America's Day at the Races continues on this Super Saturday, and boy, we've seen some good showdowns and some good 2-year-old performances as well. As Americanus, he takes race number 6 for trainer Mark Henning, teaming up with Cortland Farms and Manny Franco. And Mark, this is a horse that had been working pretty well as of late. Did you have some high hopes, I should say?
We did. I mean, we were very confident in the horse. We ran we ran 2 of his workmates this week. Kid Bourbon was working with him. Bourbon Rising ran last week and got beat, length and a half in a maiden race. So this horse is trained well with those horses. And, I thought when I looked at the race on paper, it looked like a Saratoga maiden race. And I was a little more concerned. But, he's all class. He handled himself beautifully in the paddock, didn't let anything faze him, and thought he ran very professional.
And Mark, too, in the race, I mean, there was a lot kind of going on, and he just sat that perfect kind of trip with Manny.
He did. I mean, I didn't expect him. I was surprised he showed as much speed as he did. I mean, he's a war front. He broke, and I told Manny he'll put you in a good spot, but I didn't expect him to be in that good a spot. And, and then I thought him, he was chasing that horse on the lead. I thought the 7 got pretty brave out there, and Manny said he was being a little green when he got up behind the horse, and he said, but then when he went on by, he said he really galloped out nice. And he said actually when the 1 came up to him on the gallop out, he kind of rebroke with him. So it's a good sign.
Future's bright, maybe some more ground in his future. But also, Mark, you had a big sales season down at Keeneland again this year for owners Cortland Farms. Anybody in particular, yearling-wise, you're really excited about?
The whole crop. We did. I think we did a great job. I mean, we put together a nice short list, and Mr. Adams stepped up and bought the ones we liked. I mean, we lost on a couple of them, but that happens. But we got a lot of them we really wanted.
Excellent. We're looking forward to the future with them as well. But Americanus, congratulations with him.
Thanks, Maggie.
All right, Americanus, as Mark alluded to, Acacia, he might stretch out. So you always get a little excited when you have a young 2-year-old back here. Sorry, Greg, you did the talent switch with me. No more blonde hair.
Yeah, I would not look good as a blonde. As tempted as I've been over the years
sell
to change
yourself
my hair
short,
color.
Greg.
Thank you,
I
Maggie.
think you'd
At
look
least
wonderful.
you have hair, my man.
Hey, you got a haircut today. I noticed.
Yes, I did.
A hair?
Yeah, it looks sharp.
A haircut?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
a
you.
haircut? Is that what are you getting
A
at?
haircut.
What are you getting at?
Andy, you understand.
Yeah. I have a hair, too.
$16.20. We're going to start calling out people's verbal gaffes now on the show. Is that what we're going to do?
I
'Cause
was
we
making,
could go on and on.
I was making a joke, hair, suggesting
Just hairs.
I get it.
a single hair.
Yes.
He's a little slow.
Yeah, I understand that, too.
I think it's easy for me to work with him, really.
It's been a long day.
Not easy.
I'll fully admit that. You got me. Coming up next, wide open race here. It's a turf sprint. It's on the inner turf. New York breds, allowance optional 40 racing here. And the other horse for Jason Service, favored right now, Hollywood Cat. Of course, he also sends out the 6. Jingo, who's 3-1 morning line.
Let me get it out of the way. I'll get her right in the winner's circle. Hollywood Cat has no shot in here.
Really?
She is so slow. The field she beat last time, the second place finisher and third place finisher, about 30-1 in this field. I'll get her right in the winner's circle.
Answer me this.
Okay.
Why is High Jingo not the favorite? How is First Appeal
real
favorite
quick.
at this point right now over High Jingo?
Should I introduce? We have a Hall of Famer with us. Should I introduce him?
I'm
He's
Gary
right
Stevens.
here.
Oh,
Gary
him.
Stevens
The guy
with
with
us.
the hair.
By the way, former winner of the Jockey Club Gold Cup. Greg Wolf back in for Acacia and Andy Serling as well.
You must have won with a bunch.
Tell me.
What's that?
Who I won it on.
Wow.
I do know, but someone just
We'll
told
look
me,
it
but I
up.
wish they didn't tell me. It's Pleasant Tap, 1992.
Boy, I would not have gotten that. I was probably here.
Oh, my man.
Yeah. Pleasant Tap.
Yes, I
heard
did.
it.
He was the horse that ran all the like 4 different Breeders' Cup races,
I
right?
rode him twice. I
cool
rode him in the
horse.
Jockey Club Gold Cup, came back and rode him in the Breeders' Cup. I believe I finished 3rd in the Breeders' Cup
What
that
Derby
year.
winner is he?
Eddie D always rode him.
What Derby winner is he a half brother to?
Tell me.
I believe he's a
I've
half
been
to
listening
go
to
for
you.
gin,
You're
right?
full of trivia today.
Isn't he? Yeah, isn't he a half to
believe
go for
you're going
gin?
to ask him and you don't even know.
No, I think it's never knock. I believe the dam is never knock.
Yes.
And I believe that he's a half to go for gin.
For my man, Chris
Tito.
Speckert.
Yeah, Chris Speckert trained him. That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah.
In the 2004 Jockey Club Gold Cup, don't look, who won this race?
Funny Side.
Yes, he did.
I
We're
can tell
showing
you
it to you
second
right
and
now.
third. Newfoundland and Cliff's Edge.
Andy was not
Wow.
looking. He knew this off the top of his head. Of course, Funny Side, brilliant in this performance. Your Kentucky Derby winner from the year prior where he made history, first New York bred ever to win the Derby, and still a fan favorite to this day.
He was such a cool horse.
Saratoga Stable, Barclay Tag, and that had to be, I assume you were here for that performance.
I was
How
here.
popular was that win?
Oh, people love Funny Side. He was one of the most beloved horses of my lifetime in New York. I don't know if it was California Chrome type love, but it was that kind of love, right?
Oh, it
We had
still
a
is.
Huge following.
It still is in New York. Funny
Well,
Side forever.
Made history, as mentioned, with that Derby run in 2003. Also was the first New York bred to be named 3-year-old champion. These days, the glory of the track may be gone for Funny Side, but the crowds still show up to see a fan favorite.
Coming down to the final furlong, and the gutsy gelding, Funny Side. They trying to pull off the upset here. 12-1 coming down to the line, and the gutsy gelding, Funny Side, has won the 129th Kentucky Derby.
Funny Side is very unique. I always introduce him as the Kentucky Horse Park's most famous resident. A lot of people come here and won't know much about racing, and then they hear the name Funny Side, and it rings a bell, and it all comes back, and that happens several times a week.
Turn, it's coming again. Down to the final 16. Newfoundland, Funny Side fights his way to the lead. The gutsy gelding, indeed. Let's see for gutsy gelding, Funny Side.
It's amazing to watch when they know there's a crowd watching and how they'll get the look of eagles every time. And it really does take your breath away every time. There's not many places that you can say you work with 2 Kentucky Derby winners.
Because he's a bit like a conceited house cat. Some days he's very calm and loving, other days he says, no, maybe not, showing him off to the crowds. There's a lot of times that being the most famous horse on the park, a lot of attention his way. And you just have to go with the flow.
Funny can be tough at times. He's probably the toughest horse in the barn. We have several stallions. Although Funny Side's a gelding and you know, aging a little bit at 19 years old. He's still tough. It takes professional horsemen to handle him. They're retired, but they have a little bit of a job where they're ambassadors for their sports.
These boys are my best friends in the whole world, and I feel very blessed to show them off to their adoring crowds and to work with such amazing people and amazing horses. It's definitely a blessing.
This proven son of Giants Causeway has sired 4 millionaires, including Claiborne Farm stallion Lee. Recent top runners include Cutting Humor, winner of the Grade 3 Sunland Park Derby, plus 3-time graded stakes winner Sharp Samurai, and international star Shamal Nibras. This year, his 2-year-olds have brought prices up to $310,000. First Samurai, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Best about Run Happy the Sire. He showed so much brilliance to win the Grade 1s that he won, different racetracks, and he was competing against the best horses that made it look easy. When I first heard about the bonus, I thought it was good for everybody, buyer or seller, gets everybody on the same page, that there's a lot of enthusiasm with the horse already, and I think that just helps add to it. I think these Run Happies, the public already wants to like them. That's a great thing, and I think that's a little icing on the cake for the whole deal.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Tom Durkin letting you know New York breds start with an advantage. At the sales, buyers pay up to 7 figures, and there's over $2 million in stakes money limited to New York sired horses in the New York Stallion Stakes Series, like the Park Avenue for 3-year-old fillies.
Newly minted wins it for fun.
For fun and money. The winner's share generates an additional $55,000 from the New York Breeding Fund.
Funny Guy's gonna do it.
Funny Guys winning the Times Square division generates the same money. So get with the program at nybreds.com.
Welcome to Super Saturday at Belmont Park on America's Day at the Races, presented in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. And welcome to those just joining us on Prime Ticket and Fox Sports San Diego. Of course, we're also on Fox Sports 2 and MSG Plus. Great to have you with us on a very important Saturday afternoon for championship weekend for the Breeders' Cup. Greg Wolf alongside Hall of Fame jockey Gary Stevens, New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling. We already saw one incredible performance earlier on in the day with Imperial Hint. What a stretch tool that was with Firenze Fire in the Vosburgh still to come. The Grade 2 Beldame and Midnight Bisou has put together a perfect 4-year-old campaign. She is among those in the conversation for Horse of the Year.
Yeah, and I think the results of some of this afternoon's racing is going to depend on who is going to be Horse of the Year. And I think she has a very good chance if she wins this race today, which I think she will. I think she'll stay undefeated. I think it will only take one more victory for her to possibly be Horse of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if it's hard. Has a filly or mare ever been Horse of the Year without stepping outside of her sex, without running against the boys? I know that Vosburgh Race ran the Woodward. Rachel Alexandra beat the boys a number of times.
Zenyatta.
But Zenyatta did at least run in the Breeders' Cup Classic, even
though
I'm
she sorry.
lost.
Yeah, what am I talking about?
So I'm wondering, that could be the one thing. She's had a tremendous year, and I don't disagree. She is very much in the conversation.
She's already got one trophy coming for sure, regardless of what happens.
She's wrapped up divisional honors, no question. It's on the table. They have not ruled out her connections, Breeders' Cup Classic, although they're leaning towards the distaff.
That would be the right move. I don't think they should make a decision based on Horse of the Year. I think they should do what's right by her, and they have all year. I mean, she's just had a sensational year. She's won 6 races at 5 different racetracks. She just brings her A game, and she was a very good 3-year-old, but she's been an extra special 4-year-old.
And here's the other thing of stepping out and going for Horse of the Year. It's already been announced that she's going to be in the Fasig-Tipton sale after
November.
the Breeders' Cup. So her value has already been stamped, and that's before Eclipse Awards even come out. So it's not going to matter.
That's coming up in race 8, grade 2, Beldame, purse of $300,000 in the Great Midnight Bisou. Right now, the 7th. Start of the late pick 5. It is 6 furlongs on the inner turf. New York bred, allowance optional claiming field, and this is the other Jason Service runner that Andy is not a big fan of. I did not prefer this one. I think I like 4 or 5 others better in this race as well, but the public right now has made this one the favorite.
I think the public is disillusioned by results, and they see she's won 2 straight races. She beat an extraordinarily weak field 2 back by a half length at Monmouth with a perfect trip, and then she had a perfect trip beating horses. I mean, my first gal who was 3rd in there, she might literally be 40 to 1 if she were running in this race, and you wouldn't bet her at that price. Unless there's something going on I don't know about, I don't know what makes her even competitive here.
Let's get a Paddock Report, head downstairs, and check in with Acacia Courtney.
Greg, thank you. I'll touch in with a couple horses, and I'll start from the inside out, looking at the number 1 First Appeal first. This one's getting a little bit of attention for trainer Brad Cox, and looking at her race last time out, I thought that she ran actually pretty solidly. She was very white, closing late. She was just not enough to catch High Jingo, who just kind of got the jump on her in there, but she's a leggy. I think the 6 furlongs is really going to make the difference for her. She has good energy here in the paddock as well. The number 4 Merlin's Muse, I like to see John Velasquez getting back aboard this horse. She has a win in 2 seconds here at Belmont Park. Last time out, she kind of checked. She was cut off in the stretch, and sometimes when horses have their momentum cut off, they never regain it, and that, I think, was the case for her, and especially going the 5.5 furlongs at Saratoga last time out. She has a good kind of tactical running style as well. I really liked what I saw from her as well. She looked fit. The 6 High Jingo, she had a win last time out. She's dappled. It's the service factor. I actually preferred her stable mate as far as physicality does go. She's got some speed. Not quite sure if we're going to see her try to stalk like she did last time. She looks like speed and being fast on the front end is what she prefers to do. Now, the 8 Hollywood Cat, she's taking money as well. She was closing wide with really good acceleration in that last race, not coming out of the same race that a lot of them do back on August 11th. If you want a fresh face, this is definitely the one to look at, and perhaps it's the other service factor in here, Greg.
Acacia, thank you. Reminder, get signed up started. Play along with Naira Bets. Bet $200. You'll get a $200 new member bonus. Use the promo code LIVE at sign up to take advantage of that offer. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime with NairaBets.com. Here comes our post parade for the 7th and the start of this late pick 5. We'll kick things off with First Appeal, trained by Brad Cox, coming off a second beat-a length to High Jingo.
She needs some pace in this race. She's one of the ones that has to come from way back, but she's certainly good enough.
8-1 on Theater in the Round is 1 back-to-back starts for Ray Handel.
The public not being fooled by her coming off of 2 wins, as she is facing much tougher than she's been facing.
David Donk, always dangerous in any turf race, teams up with Jose Ortiz on Saratoga Treasure.
I like Saratoga Treasure in this race. She was blocked last time and not able to make her closing run. I think she's good enough to win at a square price.
Another David Donk, filly in here by Cape Blanco, Merlin's Muse.
I'm not sure she's good enough, but she was another one that was badly caught in traffic last time.
We know what the 5's going to do. She will be in front. Stone Factor's quick with Kendra Carmouche.
Yeah, she's going to lead. Is she good enough at 6 furlongs? That remains to be seen.
We'll see if this one keeps her company. High Jingo, quick as well for Jason Service.
She figures to be stalking Stone Factor, as you alluded to, Greg. She got a perfect trip last time, but you cannot leave her out.
Wontalk Queen, Jose Lezcano, Mike Deeney team up 16-1.
Yeah, she looks a little on the slow side. She has 1 race that gives her a chance.
And still favored on the outside, Hollywood Cat. Yes, she has won 2 in a row, but as Andy mentioned, against softer company.
Yeah, I don't see how she can beat this field based her last 2 races, or really any race she's run, but the public disagrees.
Let's take a look back at the Rail Runner. That's First Appeal, and there she is, 5-year-old mare for Brad Cox, and win against High Jingo and Stone Factor back on August the 11th.
Well, take a look at her, but then take a look at Saratoga Treasure. Now, High Jingo's getting that perfect trip to get the win. High Treasure's got the pink hat on the inside, First Appeal gets to make that clean, unencumbered run on the outside. And while John Velasquez, I just think he was unlucky. You know, it was one of those races where he's saving ground. But First Appeal is trying to close, and she's just completely stuck in traffic.
Stuck in traffic, but I think the same thing may happen today, Andy. I don't see a lot of speed other than theater in the round. I don't disagree with you that First Appeal, with a better chance, not getting in trouble, could be the better of the two. But I see a lack of pace again today, and I can see these things bunching up again. And I think that's another reason that Hollywood Cat may be in trouble.
Yeah, I think that the question is Stone Factor is the speed. If you don't trust Stone Factor, and boy, High Jingo, 6-1 right now seems crazy. How is High Jingo 6-1 and Hollywood Cat 2-1, both from Jason Service?
That is a great price right now on the horse you were looking at. So she just won that race that the top 4 finishers we just showed you are all coming out of, and the 6th and 8th place finishers as well, somehow has floated up from 3-1 morning line to 6-1.
Can I just go back to what we were talking about a few minutes ago? I just got a great piece of information from one of our colleagues, Richie Migliori, 2002. Aziri did not step out of her division, and she was Horse of the Year.
And that was an unusual year. I mean, and in some ways you could say this is a somewhat unusual year where when the Breeders' Cup Classic, Valponi won, you know, so you didn't have a definitive older horse in that race. Now this year, the leading contenders right now for Horse of the Year, if we want to go in that direction right now, are Bricks and Mortar, who's only running the turf. He's obviously won the 4 Grade 1s, and he's going to a Breeders' Cup race. Right. Matoli, who has the one bad race in Saratoga, but otherwise he's been sensational, winning multiple Grade 1s.
McKinsey.
McKinsey. If McKinsey were to win today and win the Breeders' Cup Classic, he'll probably
he'll be
get
yours,
it.
I think so.
But all right now he has is one brilliant race in the Whitney and a lot of races that were a little disappointing. Not a lot, but some races. So he's got to show up and win it because, what trip or not, Matoli flat out beat him in the Met.
All right. We can continue this conversation. Did you want to add something?
No, we got all day, and that race is coming in a bit. And I have another scenario for Horse of the Year. Code of Honor, if he wins today and comes back and wins the Breeders' Cup.
He wins today and he wins the
Classic?
Absolutely.
Just saying.
No, I think it's a fair thing to point to throw in.
It's a wild year.
No, it's a fair point to throw in. I'm not going to argue against that. I don't think he wins today, so it won't matter.
Some strange
But I think you make
year.
a valid point. He's in a discussion.
Meanwhile, we got a good race coming up.
Meanwhile, we're minute to post, in this 7th race here. As we look at Saratoga Treasure, Jose Ortiz was 4th in that common race that so many of these horses are coming out of last time out. What does Saratoga Treasure, Andy, need to do to turn the tables today?
Get a clean trip. And, you know, I mean, I hear what Gary's saying, and he's not wrong. There's not a ton of pace on paper in this race, but I think it's a question if Stone Factor has trouble getting the 6 furlongs. It is a race that starts to come apart a little bit. I think 7-1 on Saratoga Treasure is an absolute, just a tremendous price.
We during the post-parade, you talked of Merlin's Muse and the trouble that she had last time. I watched the video this morning out of that common race, and I think she created her own problems in there.
Merlin's Muse?
Just not fast enough. There were things happening that she couldn't stay out of trouble.
That's very possible. No, I agree. She's a horse that got in trouble, but she may not be good enough to win. I don't disagree with that. I mean, sometimes just because you have trouble doesn't mean that you were going to win.
Right.
Let's check in with Acacia Courtney.
Just wanted to give a quick comment on your current favorite, the 8 Hollywood Cat. She's continued to impress me on the track. I know that she's the one taking the money, but what I do think is in her corner is that she's a fresh face. She hasn't faced these horses in that last start. She's got, I think, the running style that should be suited to the flow of this race as well, just physically really handling herself well and continuing that very good energy. And I wanted to touch on the 3 Saratoga Treasure, who Andy and everybody are a little bit interested in. This horse, I thought, she's getting a little bit warm, a little bit lathered on her neck. Now, it's a little bit warmer today than it has been, but she is the type of horse that coming out of that race, she's going to be forgotten a bit. I think she's a good price in here. Liked what I saw from her on track. Both of the Dave Donk horses in here, the 3 and the 4, maybe they had some secret trouble last time out or not so secret trouble in the case of the 4, but they both look like they have a shot in here to maybe upset the service horses.
Acacia, thank you very much. So still 2-1 favoritism on that one right there. And maybe those silks right there are part of the reason this one is taking so much money. Of course, Michael Dubb wins so many races on this circuit. I wanted to mention a horse to you who's undefeated sprinting on the turf. And that's a 2 theater in the round. 8-1 right now.
She beat Ailish in the last race, and Shortport probably should have won that race. I just thought, listen, I would rather bet her at 8-1 than Hollywood Cat at 2-1. Because Hollywood Cat doesn't have a single race, in my opinion, that makes her a contender. Now, maybe she'll be one of these horses that for Jason Service, a 5-year-old mare that'll run a race she's never run before. But she's got no race. At least the year in round, I suppose, could improve. She's a 5-year-old, too.
The one thing that she's got going for her is a guy named Ray Handel. I shouldn't call him a kid, but he's younger than me, much younger than me, and he's doing a great job. When his horses get hot, when they get on a roll, he can keep them going. So, she's not a complete throwout for me. If I was playing right now, I'd be playing quite a few horses in here.
I bet the 3, and I used her with mostly the 1 and 6 in exactas and a little bit of a saver with a 4 and 5, but I bet the 3.
And again, a very good price on the other Jason Service horse in here, the 6 High Jingo, who I think we're all in agreement we prefer over the horse who's favored right now.
Is the board saying that the 6 isn't going to run, and that's why the other serves? I don't know. There's too many factors. I can only go on handicapping, and in my handicapping, I don't know how Hollywood Wildcat, and I don't know a person, I don't have a single friend, frankly, I've talked to, and I've gotten some texts from friends that disagrees with me.
Well,
they all can't
Gary
understand the odds.
Stevens, the agent, for Gary Stevens, the jockey, I would prefer to ride High Jingo.
Yeah. We are all against the favorite. Could be very vulnerable in here, or we could just all be wrong. We're about to find out. The gate open.
Horse racing.
On Saratoga Treasure, the 3 to move in line as we see John Velasquez patiently waiting on Merlin's Muse, now the all-time leader in graded stakes victories for any jockey in the history of this sport. He was tied with Jerry Bailey, now stands alone after 2 Grade 1 wins on the West Coast Friday. Let's go upstairs to the voice of New York racing for the call. Start of the late pick 5. Here's Larry Colmus.
And they're all in line. They're off. Stone Factor out quickly for the front. Theater in the round with some early foot to, then High Jingo to the outside, followed by Hollywood Cat in First Appeal, who's down toward the rail. Merlin's Muse is next, and then Wanta Queen and Saratoga Treasure. 7 lengths off of dueling leaders Stone Factor and High Jingo. They're a neck apart as the field races for the far turn. And these two go by the opening quarter mile in 22.39 seconds. Theater in the round alongside of Hollywood Cat. They're together 2.5 lengths off the lead, 2.5 to Merlin's Muse, who's side by side with First Appeal, then Saratoga Treasure. Wanta Queen is still about 8 lengths behind. Stone Factor in front, High Jingo 3/4 of a length behind. Hollywood Cat coming up to their outside while going 3 wide. Theater in the round saves ground. First Appeal, Merlin's Muse swings up on the outside, and they're into the stretch. And it is Stone Factor, Hollywood Cat on the outside, ranging up alongside. Merlin's Muse trying to close in. First Appeal had to wait, got caught in traffic there, and here comes Saratoga Treasure storming up on the far outside. And Saratoga Treasure runs by them and pulls away in the end to win it by 2.5 lengths. And there was Merlin's Muse, Theater in the round, and Hollywood Cat.
Saratoga Treasure, wide trip, gets the win. Jose Ortiz, David Donk, 3-4-2 finish.
Gary, I'm not just saying it because you're here. This was a great ride.
Yes,
he
it was.
saved every inch of ground with this horse until they got into the stretch, and then he swung her out in the clear. A great ride by Jose, and a horse that just was much the best.
And Andy, just because you are here, I'm going to say that you as a handicapper are much better than I am as an agent.
Well, no, the 6 might have beaten the 8. I'm not really sure which one happened there. And I almost wonder if the money on the 8 was more a reflection that the connection didn't like the 6. We'll bet the other Jason Service because don't like this one, but this was like almost like the great rides that Joel Rosario gives in these turf sprints. Saved ground, and then angled out in the stretch.
And it's not a swerve out. When they come off that turn, they've already got it planned. Eddie Delahousie was one of the best in the game at doing that. And if he was down inside, you might not better be on the outside of him because he would, at the camera change, he would take it to the outside fence and the camera would change. There was no evidence of any problems or anything. Eddie, if you're listening, you were the greatest at that. But a great ride here by Jose Ortiz.
Not even in your screen for most of that. And then finally, swoops in. Jose Ortiz at 6-1 in the 8, by the way, who went off favorite, winds up 4th in here at 5-2, and there's your winning trainer, David Donk.
I can't believe the price this horse was, Greg. And you know, I told you this horse would have been my best bet of the day. Did I not tell you that at the beginning of the show? We were discussing it after I said Midnight Bisou.
Really wish I listened to you. By the way, David Donk exacta here.
Yep.
How about that?
Yeah.
Mentioned he's so dangerous on the turf.
He's having a great meet. 5 wins so far here at this Belmont Fall Medium Chance, and great job, David.
3-4-2-8 finish. There's David Donk with the cap on and the vest. Coming to great Saratoga Treasure. 4-year-old filly. Now wins for the 3rd time in her career on turf and does so at 6-1. Jose Ortiz aboard for the winning ride. Prices when we come back. And Midnight Bisou trying to keep her perfect season alive when we return.
Run Happy is simply super. He polishes off an outstanding campaign with a dominant victory in the Malibu.
No medication, no problem. Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Rushes out of there to take the lead. It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Flatter. This prolific son of AP Indy has sired 6 millionaires, including Eclipse champion West Coast. This year, he's adding even more stakes winners to his outstanding record, including Sovereign Award winner Avies Flatter. In the auction ring, his yearlings have topped the Fasig Tipton July sale 2 years in a row. Success on the track, success in the ring. Flatter, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on America's Day at the Races and at Saratoga Treasure. Part of a David Donk exacta here in the 7th to kick off the late pick 5. Jose Ortiz aboard for the win. Our filly by Treasure Beach. Let's head downstairs to the winner's circle with Acacia Courtney.
Greg, thank you. I'm standing by with winning trainer Dave Donk, and as you said, in fact, finishing 1-2 in Saratoga Treasure, getting the job done. She's been knocking on the door lately. When she came flying towards the wire, what were you thinking that she was going to get the win today?
Yeah, they have both run really well. Both had a brutal trip last time, so I was a little surprised that there were such long prices today. But, you know, they were up to both running well. It's just a question, you know, the grass is about getting the trip.
Certainly got the trip today with that big late run, and Saratoga Treasure coming into the winner's circle looked like she could have gone another lap.
Yeah, you know, she's pretty pumped up, especially these sprinters, they get that way a little bit. But, yeah, I was really happy to see her run so well today.
And as you said, you had the 2 horses in here. How validating is that when you have horses coming out of a trouble trip like they both did last time?
Yeah, especially since it was Saratoga. You know, we're all under the gun maybe to try and win there. So, you know, it's a little disappointing when they get those kind of trips. But, you know, that's part of the grass racing. And just happy that they both came back and ran really well today.
Well, Dave, thanks so much and big congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And Greg, they got the trips today. Saratoga Treasure, a little bit of a price as well, gets the win here.
That is the key, and Andy, that's what you were talking about when I said how does Saratoga Treasure win, get a better trip, and especially in a turf sprint, so key.
Well, I mean, that's the whole thing we talk about and why we talk about how good Joel Rosario is. It's you try to save as much ground as you can, but it's so important to try to get that clean outside run. I mean, you as a rider, Gary, trying to close in between inside of horses. Horses just don't seem to get as comfortable as they are when they're out in the clear.
No, the rare one does. It's a little easier. Horses tend, with their acceleration on the turf, to handle or be able to get through and accelerate through holes. And if they won't accelerate, they're not going to come through the tight holes. It's going to bind up. You're going to get stopped. Joel, if he loses ground around the first turn, he's going to save ground around the second turn and vice versa.
Jose Ortiz.
No, I'm saying, like, this was Jose Ortiz.
Right.
This was and we talk about it a lot with Joel Rosario, who does, and Jose gave a perfect ride here, but Joel Rosario, to me, rides the turf sprints as well as any rider I've ever seen.
We even saw him do it in the Belmont Stakes. That was a perfect ride. If not for every inch being perfect, might not have won that race.
And Jose, he rode the race. He's young, And he keeps improving every day, both the Ortiz brothers. We haven't seen the best of the Ortiz brothers, and that's scary to think about. They've got a lot of years ahead of them.
I think you really saw it last year with Irad. I think when his brother won the Eclipse Award the year before, he said, I'll show him. And I think he really stepped his game up.
They drive each other.
Well, our main event still to come. That is this year's Jockey Club Gold Cup. It pits 2 talented 3-year-olds against 2 very accomplished graded stakes winners at the distance. For the top 2 finishers, though, in the Travers in the 3-year-old division that has been wide open this year, there is also divisional honors on the line. Here's Maggie Wolfendale with more on the Jockey Club Gold Cup.
Today sees the 101st running of a race that has produced 25 Hall of Fame horses, the Jockey Club Gold Cup. It's a race that has been captured an unprecedented 5 times by the mighty Kelso, who himself holds the record for most Horse of the Year wins. A key preparation race for the Breeders' Cup Classic, this year's Jockey Club Gold Cup will be a clash of young and old, with 3-year-olds in this field taking on older horses for the first time in their careers. Top contender for champion 3-year-old Code of Honor returns to action after a dominant Run-Happy Travers win.
Code of Honor and John Velasquez have won the Run-Happy Travers.
Circling the field on the final turn, trainer Shug McGahee's Tough Dwyer winner outbattled pace setters Tacitus and Mucho Gusto to earn the biggest win of his career. Jumping from the rail is a horse that has been knocking on the door throughout this year's Classic contest. He is Hall of Fame trainers Bill Mott's Tacitus. After a stumble at the start in the Jim Dandy, which arguably cost him the win, blinkers were applied for the Run-Happy Travers, and after an aggressive ride, he had to settle for second. The blinkers stay on, and perhaps this time, it will be his moment in the spotlight. A horse that will be taking on Tacitus for the early pace is Woodward Stakes winner Preservationist, flying the flag for the Jimmy Jerkins barn.
A dramatic finish in the Woodward that will go to Preservationist.
The lightly raced 6-year-old has been improving with age, having posted his career best performances throughout the 2019 season. The field is small, and good race position will be crucial. Todd Pletcher has decided to take the blinkers off his Jockey Club Gold Cup hopeful Vino Rosso in a bid to be more tactically placed. This year's Santa Anita Gold Cup winner placed 3rd in the Whitney Stakes and will be very dangerous in this 5-field affair. An interesting entry comes in the shape of an unexposed 3-year-old gelding, Olympic Village.
Olympic Village, and Javier Castellano won it by 2 lengths.
While 3 for 4 lifetime, this Grade 1 will be a tall task first off the claim for trainer Bob Hess. It might be a small field, but this quality renewal could easily include this year's Breeders' Cup Classic winner.
Such an intriguing matchup, even though it is a small field. It's our ABR race of the week. And is there anything, guys, to this? I mean, we know Shug McGahee, once his horse Code of Honor didn't win the Kentucky Derby, he said, look, I'm going to back off. I'm going to wait and try and get him to the Travers. He did. He won that race. He pointed to that race, trying to get there. Todd Pletcher backed off, passed on the Woodward, pointing instead to this race with Vino Rosso. Anything to that at all?
I viewed it as a negative, to be honest. I mean, I just like to see a trainer be decisive. They were going to run in the Woodward. They decided to wait for this. They said they wanted more time into the Breeders' Cup. Now it's less time. Maybe the 1.25 miles was the deciding factor for them, Gary.
Maybe, and maybe he needed freshening up. He's been working lights out since. We're talking about Hall of Fame trainers here. We're not talking about just average guys. Todd Pletcher, Shug McGahee, they're Hall of Famers. And when they make decisions, they plan out and they work backwards from that. So when they set a date, they can get them to those races, and only the great ones can do that.
What about the blinkers off, though? Todd's just 1 for 11 taking blinkers off in a graded stake.
He just felt, from listening, and we'll get to Midnight Bisou here in a moment, he just felt he's matured more. He doesn't need them anymore. That's what Todd Pletcher felt.
Okay.
Up next, and there she is, Midnight Bisou. She's lined up 6 times. This year is a 4-year-old filly. She has yet to be beat, a perfect 2019 campaign. And, you know, very similar what Steve Asmussen has done, or did, with Gunrunner, a horse who got bigger, stronger as a 4-year-old, really started to come into his own. She has done the same. She's gotten bigger, stronger, and arguably with every start, she's gotten better.
You can't have a better year than she's had, Gary.
No.
She's danced every dance. She's been in every major race outside of California, and she's won them all.
Right, and the mare that she beat here, that sewed up the championship for her as far as I'm concerned.
100%.
Elite, she's unbelievable. And here's the other scary thing, is I think Midnight Bisou, at least so far from what I've seen, her action is even different, even better on the Belmont track here. I think this is her favorite surface, and maybe it's just her continuing to improve, because she has improved with every race this year.
She will have a different pilot. Her regular pilot, Mike Smith, of course, staying on the West Coast to ride McKinsey in an important race in the handicap division. Pretty good fill-in pilot and Hall of Famer John Velasquez, who just yesterday became, all by himself, the leading jockey all-time in career graded stakes victories. He rode her in the Breeders' Cup Distaff last year. He's back aboard today. We'll return.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
You know, I think Run Happy has a lot of things going for him. Obviously, he's been very respected, and to, you know, to give people further incentive to buy them for where they can take an offspring, run it, and if they win, they're going to get a $100,000 bonus for each Run Happy they have. You know, it's another selling point from our perspective that really helps us promote the horses that we're representing and we're selling.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Piranha, the leader in fly control and wipe and spray products, now has premium equine grooming products. Introducing Aloe Pro Shampoo, an organic concentrate enriched with vitamins A, D, and E, and silk protein. Piranha Detangler, a dry comb-through detangling spray that conditions, moisturizes, keeping tail and mane manageable. And Shine Baby Shine, a water-based coat conditioner that leaves a show ring shine every time. Visit piranhaeat.com to see our full line of equine products, and for a limited time, use promo code NYRA to receive a 10% discount on your order. Piranha on, pests gone.
What could be better than standing one Triple Crown winner? Standing two.
Here comes American Pharaoh. Justified, turning for home in front. And American Pharaoh has pulled. Justified. He's unstoppable.
The 37-year wait is over. American Pharaoh.
Justified
has won the Triple Crown.
Coolmore, America, home of Triple Crown champions.
You're watching America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2, MSG Plus, and other regional networks across the country. Our show brought to you in part by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Midnight Bisou trying to move on to the Breeders' Cup with a potential Horse of the Year awards in her sights. She's 1-9 right now. Let's head downstairs, get a Paddock Report from Maggie Wolfendale.
And Greg, she's already wearing her Breeders' Cup cooler here in the paddock, so she's kind of throwing it in the other fillies' faces as now she has her tack on. But I will say, honestly, coming out of Saratoga, even though she has been training up there, she looks as though she's put on weight since that personal ensign performance in which she dominated a late. Well, they both put on a wonderful show, which is probably my favorite Saratoga memory from 2019, but she looks ready to rock and roll. I cannot fault her whatsoever. And two, she has shown a propensity to like it, or I should say an affinity for Belmont Park, and it kind of seems that way as she is strutting her stuff here in the paddock. As we'll jump towards the outside with number 6, that's Wildcat for trainer Chad Brown. Now, last year she took a while to get going, and this year I feel it's the same thing. She's just a bigger, heavier mare that takes a while to get fit, and she finally looks it here today. Now, last time going back to that personal ensign, she got pretty wound up in the paddock and out on the racetrack. Today, here at Belmont, she does seem a little bit more relaxed, so that's a good sign for her. I will pay close attention, though, Greg, to how she's behaving out on the racetrack as I'm about to get on my man, Jaeger.
All right, Maggie, thanks. Yeah, we look forward to seeing you on board Jaeger after the race, getting the winning interview. So here's Wildcat, her first 2 starts in the States, did not visit the winner's circle. Then she came to the Beldame here in start number 3 in the U.S. for Chad Brown. She got a Grade 1 win, and she'd proceed to be the runner-up in the Breeders' Cup Distaff.
She ran very well in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. This was not the same field in this Beldame that she's being today. There were no Monomoy girls in there. Or not Monomoy girls, excuse me, Midnight Bisous. Now, to be fair, she wasn't 10 lengths worse in the personal engine. She was stuck down the rail the entire way and never had a fair chance. So she's going to likely run better, but that's a big gap to close on Midnight Bisou. And she's going to have to hope Midnight Bisou doesn't run a race, in my opinion, to beat her. I just don't think she's ever run well enough to beat her.
There she is, and there is John Velasquez filling in for Mike Smith, who has been her regular pilot as a jockey. When you fill in on a big-time horse who's up for Horse of the Year, what's that like?
Well, he's been through, as they showed, a long 24 hours and a quick 24 hours turnaround from New York to California. Arrived there yesterday morning, rode all afternoon, took a red-eye flight back last night, and won 2 Grade 1s yesterday. Huge performances, huge for him. His adrenaline is flowing right now, but those flights, when you put in a day like that, you sleep like a baby on that plane. So don't worry about Johnny being tired. When he woke up, he's going to be wide awake again.
That was the win on the Philly Bass, which was a little bit more difficult than expected. She was the 1-5 favorite in this race. Comical gave her everything she could handle, but Bass got the win. That was the record breaker for John Velasquez, 661 graded stakes wins, and then he followed it up with 8 rings, who had a disastrous start last time out. Things went a lot better Friday.
Yeah, this colt, he was ridden by Drayden Van Dyke last time out, and he ducked in horribly bad shortly after the start, unseating Drayden, and Drayden just coming back. Bob Baffert saying that, look, I got to go with a Hall of Famer. I can't use you right off of the bench. He called him up, told Drayden, so he got called in from the bullpen, and there you have it. And this colt, he's for real. 2
Grade 1 wins and now stands alone. He was tied with Jerry Bailey, 660 career graded stakes victories. Now he's the all-time leader, and he's going to try and add number 663 here on the amazing 4-year-old filly. Midnight Bisou trying to remain perfect this year.
Yeah, I mean, she has just been sensational this year, and this is her final prep before the Breeders' Cup as she'll look to continue her undefeated season.
Big long shot we will see next at 44-1. That is Spring in the win for Bob Hess Jr.
I have to think in a race that lacks pace, she's likely going to the front early, but she's probably going to the back late.
Sent out by Ron Palucci Racing. Another broad. Todd Pletcher trains for Mataket Stables. Javier Castellano will be aboard, and here she is at 26-1.
I think, like a lot of horses, she's hoping to get the black type and maybe finish third in here. She's not impossible to get a piece of this, but she's a distant third best behind Midnight Bisou and Wildcat.
Crimson Frost, Manny Franco, the meet's leading rider, will be aboard for Michelle Nevin. Comes off a stakes win at Monmouth on a sloppy racetrack.
It's a horse I have a lot of personal love for going back before she got claimed, and she's run well for both connections. Maybe she could get third if she makes that outside clunk up.
And here is last year's winner of this race and runner-up in the Breeders' Cup. Distaff for Chad Brown, Wildcat.
I'm wondering, I want to ask Gary about this when we're done. If she's my horse, I'm going to tell Jose Ortiz to be aggressive and maybe even try to be ahead of Bisou early. May not get her ahead of her late, but might give her best chance for an upset.
Yeah, possibly, but we'll talk about that in a minute, I guess.
We're going to have some bonus coverage for you coming up tomorrow on the show with the Zenyatta Stakes, Grade 2. It will be the 5th out at Santa Anita. Win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup. And we look forward to bringing you that race. Ollie's Candy, Paradise Woods go head-to-head in that matchup. Let's head downstairs, check in with Acacia Courtney for more on Midnight Bisou.
I'm pleased to be joined by her owner, Jeff Bloom, as Midnight Bisou looks to stay undefeated in 2019. Jeff, you were telling me on the walk over just what kind of horse she is and what it's meant to you to be involved with her.
Yeah, Midnight Bisou's just in a league all by herself and just a total game changer in terms of our program and what she's done for us. So, you know, I'm smart enough to realize that I got to take a step back and reflect on each of these moments, enjoy them as much as I can, and just appreciate what's happening right in front of me, which I'm trying to do right now without being too nervous.
She is going the Fasig-Tipton Night of Stars in November. She's going the sale, but looking ahead to the Breeders' Cup, with today being another stepping stone, what does the next 6 weeks or so look like for you?
Yeah, so we really like this race here at Belmont in terms of the spacing between this spot and when she'll run in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. So she'll fly out of New York as soon as this race is over and go to California. She'll get all settled in, and so it'll essentially be a race out of her own backyard, so to speak. She'll have an opportunity to train over that track and really get acclimated to the surroundings. And she's familiar with Santa Anita. Of course, she started her career there. So it's going to be a lot of fun, enjoying these next few weeks as we make our way to the Breeders' Cup.
Jeff, thanks so much. Best of luck today.
Thank you very much.
Midnight Bisou Greg has just been truly sensational, taking all of our connections and fans on a really special ride.
It's just remarkable the change she has made, the progression from a 3-year-old filly to a 4-year-old filly. She ended her 3-year-old campaign, which is 1 win in her final 5 starts. They were all graded stakes wins, but lost her final 4. Now she's put together a perfect 6-for-6 campaign.
Well, I think your analogy to Gunrunner was absolutely perfect. Gunrunner was a terrific 3-year-old, much like she was, but he wasn't the best 3-year-old, and he wasn't able to contend with them. But at 4, he really blossomed, as she has.
And I've watched it with my own eyes. I saw her in California, and I've watched her grow up and become what she's become. I had no idea when I was watching her race in California that she was going to wind up being Midnight Bisou.
She's become a superstar horse of a lifetime. Now this, if anyone you would think could pose any kind of threat to her in this race, it is this one right here in Wildcat. So Jose Ortiz will be aboard. How do you approach riding this race, Gary, knowing that you have a 1-9 favorite that all eyes are on?
You're riding against a 1-9 favorite, and Andy's question was a great question. Is he going to be more aggressive and try and be in front of Midnight Bisou? No. You don't take your horse out of her style of running. You know you are probably on much the best second horse. Now, when I say that, I'm not admitting defeat, but I've been in this game long enough that the best horse does get beat in this sport more often than not. I don't think Midnight Bisou can get beat today, so I go out there with the attitude, look, I'm going to ride for a placing, and that's a good second place. It's a lot of money. You move forward, you try and beat her, but you hope you're not hoping for anything dangerous, but you're hoping that Midnight Bisou doesn't show up today for whatever reason. But if she shows up, they're not going to beat her. So don't cost yourself second by trying to defeat something you can't defeat.
Because Wildcat probably isn't a half length to a length worse on her better race. Midnight Bisou, if they both run their races, she's probably a few lengths worse. If you were maybe a half length behind, you might try to take an edge, try to make it up. But with her, you're going to have to hope that Midnight Bisou doesn't run a Ray effort, which is always possible, but not likely.
Here's another broadsheet trained by Todd Pletcher, who has won this race 5 times before, including Princess of Silmar back in 2013. Number 6 would be one of the great shocks of the year in this sport.
Yes, it would. It's just not good enough on paper to beat Midnight Bisou, but it's the same thing that Gary's talking about. Todd's thinking, listen, getting 3rd in the Beldame is very good for her value, and it's not so bad to get $30,000 for 3rd. So I don't see any reason not to take a shot.
It's a 5-horse field. By the way, Vexatious, I spoke to Jack Sisterson this morning, her trainer. She was meant to come out here. They could not get a Tex Sutton flight out to New York. She's going to be running in the Spinster next weekend at Keeneland, Grade 1, and it is also a win-in-your-in race for the Breeders' Cup.
Well, with more on the Grade 2 Beldame, and she's aboard Jaeger now. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale on track.
Thanks, Greg. Reunited with my main man here as we'll check in with number 3. Well, as you guys were stating, Todd Pletcher with several Beldames. Well, they last teamed up, Javier Castellano and he, to win with Princess Silmar. And she's a filly I like. You know, she has been away from the track for a bit, but she looks ultra fit here as we're going to head actually onto the training track here, as this is where they load for the 1 1/8 Beldame. And look, I don't think she's beating Midnight Bisou or Wildcat for that matter, but I do think she looks ready, at least coming back off a bit of a layoff dating back to July. Now, Wildcat, as I had mentioned, she got wound up in the personal incident in her second start back of 2019. And today, Jose Ortiz is back aboard, who he's had success with her in the past, and I think she's actually settled quite nicely for him. He said to me, wow, she's doing really, really well, and she is looking for back-to-back Beldame. So obviously she's the biggest threat to Midnight Bisou, but Midnight Bisou, wow, she looked fantastic out here on the racetrack, Greg.
7-2 on Wildcat, but this race, it's all about this filly right here, and a chance to go to the Breeders' Cup undefeated, potentially be your horse of the year. Campaigns like this do not come around very often.
No, I agree. It's a full year campaign, right? We just don't see them. Most of the time, these horses will start in April or May, or the ones that start early, they tail off and get long breaks. I mean, you think about it. She won the Apple Blossom, right? Outside of California, there's only the Apple Blossom. There's only the Phipps. There's only the Personal Ensign. She's chosen the Beldame over the Spinster, but those are the 2 races, then the Breeders' Cup. So ex-California, she has run in every big race she could have run in, basically.
And let's keep in mind that first start of the year, she didn't impress a lot of people, even though she got the job done.
That was not impressive at all. I think our
Houston.
boy Luch was second in that race, as a matter of fact.
The part that impresses me looking back now about that is we know Steve asked me, he doesn't always have to win with first-time starters. He doesn't always have to win with horses off the layoff, and she was good enough to win off that layoff. So,
and that's the thing with these connections, and you heard from Bloom Racing, they have said with each and every start she's gotten better. They don't believe she's hit bottom yet.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at it, the Monmouth race was a beans to an end. Every other race gets better.
Midnight Bisou trying to move on to the Breeders' Cup undefeated. Here's Larry Colmus with the Beldame.
They're off in the Beldame. Midnight Bisou had a good start from that inside post and will show some early speed with Spring in the Wind going out there to lead them. Midnight Bisou is right with her on the inside, though, and then it's Wildcat away running in third. Crimson Frost is next, and Another Broad is last. Up the backstretch, Spring in the Wind is the leader, with Midnight Bisou racing to her inside in second, and she's a half length behind as they head up the backstretch. And then it's Wildcat third and keeping close company to these pacemakers. The opening quarter was 24.83 seconds. A moderate first fraction there. Another Broad and Crimson Frost are now 4 lengths from Spring in the Wind, who leads Midnight Bisou by a half a length, and she's been down on the rail throughout so far as they continue their run up the backstretch. Wildcat in a perfect stalking position right behind the pace-setting pair, heading for the far turn. Then it's Crimson Frost, and on the inside comes Another Broad, and there goes Midnight Bisou now, and she gets even and takes over the lead with a half mile to go. The half was 48.09, and Midnight Bisou's got ahead in front. Spring in the Wind is clinging to her, though. She hasn't gone away yet. And Wildcat is perched just outside of them. Then Crimson Frost, followed by Another Broad. Around the far turn, Midnight Bisou on the rail. Wildcat makes her move on the outside. And now Midnight Bisou starts to kick away at the top of the stretch. Wildcat goes with her. These two move away from the others. Crimson Frost is taken third on the outside. And they just brushed together. Midnight Bisou and Wildcat came together, and they're side by side at the 8th pole. Midnight Bisou is on the inside. Wildcat trying to make a race of it, but Midnight Bisou's edging away, and Midnight Bisou just kissed Wildcat goodbye. And she goes on to victory and on to the Breeders' Cup with a 4-length win in the Beldame. And then it was Wildcat, followed by Crimson Frost and Another Broad.
Midnight Bisou, perfect 7 for 7, 4-year-old campaign, and she will move on to the Breeders' Cup Distaff as an overwhelming favorite. She got tested for a little bit here.
I'm laughing because as they were turning for home, I said she's in trouble, and Gary just went, no, she's not. But it looked like for a second she could be in a little trouble.
Yeah, usually he who goes to the whip first loses the battle, the guy who draws the saber. And I told you right before this moment right here that Johnny hasn't picked her up yet. I guarantee you Mike and Johnny had a long conversation before he got to rent this filly out for the day for a test drive and get paid for it. He had his hands spread very wide with the loose rein, exactly how Mike rides her early on, very relaxed. She wasn't being crowded on the fence. When he picked her up, when he gathered her up, that was her cue to go. And a big race from Wildcat. She came up, she tested her. When they grazed, when they hit each other at the 8th pole, I think it was a combination of both of them come together at the same time, but it was like lighting the spark plug on Midnight Bisou. It just sent her into a different speed.
You know, much like Imperial Hint, are you happier getting tested going to the Breeders' Cup?
She got a good stiff one today. You want that. You want one to get their lungs burnt just a little bit, and she got that today.
Career graded stakes win number 663 for the man standing by with Maggie Wolfendale.
Well, it's great because I've gotten to interview Miss Midnight Bisou. Hey, girl, 2 times in a row. And I can unequivocally tell you guys, she was breathing much harder after that personal ensign battle with Elate than what she is here today as she flirts with Yeager a little bit. I know, girl, he's handsome. But, Johnny, I mean, that's how this filly has won races in the past. Kind of going out to the lead a little bit earlier than one would expect, but she gets comfortable out there.
I don't know. I mean, this is my first time. I rode her, and Mike told me not to get away on her own way. She broke well. I just kind of kept it where she was comfortable. I was a little bit on the uncomfortable position because the horse inside wanted to put me right on top of the rail, and it seems like the rail is a little bit dry, so I kind of pushed my way a little bit out, and they have a mouth pull, put the head in front of the other horse, and I pushed him out. From then on, she was pretty easy, though.
Picking up your 4th Beldame win here aboard Midnight Bisou, who remains undefeated. I know you're not her regular rider and kind of filling in, assumably, for Mike Smith, but this has to be pretty nice sitting aboard her.
Absolutely. Nice big up mountain while he's over there. I get a nice picture with her and a nice little ride here, so very nice.
You're taking all of his mountains, picking up a couple Grade 1 wins out there in California as well. Johnny, congratulations here with Midnight Bisou.
No, thank you. Thank you for the connections. Everybody give me an opportunity. And for Mike for giving me the chance to ride her today.
It's so cool to watch you two veterans share this very special filly. Johnny, go get your picture taken.
Thank you very much.
All right, Midnight Bisou, guys. Yeah, that race really took nothing out of her as far as I can tell. It was just nice, easy prep into that Breeders' Cup distaff.
Not a bad pinch hit Grade 2 victory. And we didn't talk about all the pressure. And there was pressure on John Velazquez here because she has a perfect year going on, and he's filling in this one race. Was that heart rate going as he was feeling it here?
I've been in that spot before, but when you're riding this quality of horse, when you climb on them, you feel their class, you feel how they're moving going to the gate. They're giving you all the right signals, and I guarantee you, as you heard him say, Mike had told him, keep her in the race, just keep her comfortable. And I think Johnny was probably very comfortable, and that heart wasn't beating or racing too hard.
And here's a look at the start for Midnight Bisou.
She has a little bit of a kiss with the number 2.
Yeah, a little bit of a kiss, and she got a little bit of a kiss when she was coming down the stretch as well. And, you know, if I'm Johnny Velazquez, I'm not real happy with what Bracho was doing early on in the race. First the bump, then trying to, on a 40-to-1 shot. There's another bump that we see coming in here.
She came out a little bit in the Wildcat.
And it was right at the lead switch. Hey, look. She was much the best. Johnny rode her how she needed to be ridden. She got what she needed to get today. Now she's going to get on a plane, go to California, get settled in, and they can just relax and let Mr. Asmussen and Mr. Blasi take care of things until the Breeders' Cup.
Late in the race, you saw Jose Ortiz lose the stick on Wildcat, but outcome was already decided at that point. Midnight Bisou, what a campaign she has put together. Perfect 7 for 7, and every single one of those races a graded stakes victory, and there's one stop left. That is the Breeders' Cup at Santa Anita, early November, where a win there could make her your horse of the year, potentially.
Well, she's in a discussion. I think there's a lot more racing left to go. That's why the Breeders' Cup are the championship race.
She's put herself in position.
And we've got the Jockey Club Gold Cup coming on later, and we've also got the Awesome again with some horses that potentially could be horse of the year.
Of course, McKinsey out on the West Coast. That's why Mike Smith was not here this afternoon. Still to come here. Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup with Travers winner, Code of Honor. John Velazquez will look to add that Grade 1 to already a pretty impressive day here. Filling in for Mike Smith. Gets the job done, and the perfect campaign intact for Midnight Bisou, winner of the Grade 2 Beldame. We'll be back.
The Kentucky Derby is a race that we all want to capture. But what he did in the Florida Derby, that got me green.
But inside the 16th pole, the 2017 Florida Derby to Todd Pletcher, and always dreaming they won it by 4 in the end.
Anytime you ever would go to see him in his breezes or in his races, you knew that he was the real deal. You really would get excited about what he was going to do for the future. I'm Jacob West, and this season, I'm always dreaming.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
Grade 1 winner and track record setter Lee. He traveled the world competing against the best of his generation. Now his progeny are hitting the track. His first winners include Saratoga standout Vast, with juveniles selling for over $400,000 and yearlings bringing up to $650,000. The sky is the limit for this promising young stallion. Lee, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by the champion sprinter Run Happy. Never lost in his career while sprinting, a perfect 7 for 7. Did it all while racing. Medication-free, now standing at Claiborne Farm. Midnight Bisou, perfect 7 for 7 now in her 4-year-old campaign as we head downstairs to Acacia Courtney.
Greg, thank you. I'm standing by with assistant trainer Scott Blasi. And Scott, you just said to me, she's special. What does this horse mean to you and to your whole barn?
She's just been such an amazing horse. The way she's developed this year and just turned the corner and done everything perfect so far. You know, we just try to stay out of her way. She's been a pleasure to be around.
You mentioned the way that she's developed. We really have seen such a change from her from last year to this year, and you were with her the whole time at Saratoga as well. How have you seen her grow?
I just think she's, from her 3-year-old to her 4-year-old year, she's matured more physically. She's always had it together mentally. You know, she's just been stronger, faster in her works, and just a more mature horse.
She's a fighter as well. We saw that last time with the late, and today a little bit, maybe a little bit of a short breath as Wildcat came up. What were you thinking in the stretch?
You know, you're always a little worried when you draw the one hole in these short fields, but, you know, Johnny did a great job of letting her place herself, took great care of her, was smooth to the wire, and, you know, we're just looking on to the Breeders' Cup.
Scott, thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Greg, horses like her certainly don't come around very often.
No, they don't. She is something extremely special, and she's going to head to the Breeders' Cup as a massive favorite and a chance, depending how things play out, championship weekend, to be named your horse of the year as you look at the late pick 5 follow along. What impresses you most about Midnight Bisou? I mean, she's so tactical, too. She doesn't have to come from far out of it like we saw in the Purcell Ensign. She can be up close, sit. She can be down in the fence, battle. She can do it all.
Her consistency and her toughness. You know, she started her career under Bill Sparr's care on the West Coast, and Jeff Bloom thought it was better that she come to the East Coast. There were more options for her, and they had plans to get her to where she's at today. And I give him a lot of credit for where she's at right now in her career, because they planned it out. He knew how good she was. Nobody else did. And then Scott Blasi and Steve Asmussen have done the rest since then.
Yeah, I don't have any words for her. She's some kind of special horse. To be able to rate the way she did inside, I get it. She was 1-9. Wildcat is a quality horse, but she's been able to rate inside multiple times and win. And then last time, she went 6 wide and went by a late. So the versatility, she's almost like a 5-tool player. She can do whatever she wants on the race course.
So I have a question, because you brought it up during the break, and connections have briefly thought about it, although they're leaning distaff. What if they changed gears and said, let's take a crack at the boys, try and seal horse of the year with Midnight Bisou? What does Mike Smith do?
Does it not tell you where he's at today?
Yeah, exactly.
And it wasn't the money that kept him at home.
But I'm with you. If it wasn't for McKenzie, I think Midnight Bisou would run against the boys. I really would. But you're trying to go into the best horse's backyard and the white-haired wizard's backyard. That's tough to do. But I do think right now on dirt, this horse right here is second to McKenzie for me on dirt. She is darn good.
She is incredible. What a show she put on with a win in the Beldame. Another stakes race coming up next. It is the Grade 3 Pilgrim, purse of $200,000. As we look at No Word, it was impressive. First time out at Saratoga for trainer Todd Pletcher. Jose Ortiz will be aboard, and right now favored still to come. Grade 1 Jockey Club, Gold Cup, Travers winner, Code of Honor. Moved up to second in the Kentucky Derby, has blossomed even more in the second half of the season. We'll preview the big one next.
Tom Tom Durkin letting you know New York breds start with an advantage. At the sales, buyers pay up to 7 figures, and there's over $2 million in stakes money limited to New York sired horses in the New York Stallion Stakes Series, like the Park Avenue for 3-year-old fillies.
Newly minted wins it for fun.
For fun and money. The winner's share generates an additional $55,000 from the New York Breeding Fund.
Funny Guy's gonna do it.
Funny Guy's win of the Times Square division generates the same money. So get with the program at nybreds.com.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Run Happy was a really nice racehorse. The biggest attribute that I see about him is the way he stamps his foals. You know, they got big, pretty walks on them. They got good hips and shoulders. Very pretty to look at. And, you know, a real strong hind leg. You know, everything that you're looking for as a racehorse. You know, that's what impresses me.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
Come to the top of the stretch, some like it hot brown. Off the turn in front, Social Paranoia 2 lengths behind. And then it's 40 under and Opry on the far outside. Coming into the final furlong. Some like it hot brown still there. 40 under now ranges up alongside. And Manny Franco and 40 under have taken the lead in late stretch. And 40 under takes the Pilgrim.
40 under last year, winning the Pilgrim. For Bill Parcells, August Don Farm, Jeremiah Engelhardt had a disastrous debut. 9th place finish at Saratoga, beaten 17 3/4 lengths. Things got a little bit better in the Pilgrim, and now those same connections come back with Tuggle, who had a disastrous trip at the Grade 3 with Anticipation last start in his turf debut.
Yeah, he got completely wiped out in the first turn. And it was just, I mean, his race was over with before it really got started in here, guys.
Yeah, it was. You could see he stumbled out of the gate very, very badly. And you could see that they're trying to get him to settle as Jose Ortiz. And listen, these are 2-year-olds. They're having none of it. When they backed it up, here's what Gary was talking about. When they started backing up the pace, he's like, I need to go, man. I got out of the gate slow. And then this happened right here. And then, like Gary said, you just can't recover from something like this. He hindered 4 other horses, but for him to be like where he was at the top of the lane, I thought was actually a pretty good feat. He looks like he's got a shot to win the race for a split second.
Yeah, and the other horse that was involved in that was Our Country, who stumbled at the break. He was the actual favorite of that of the With Anticipation, and you know he ran off going into the turn, caused a lot of the problems, but. I think that they were problems. A lot of times we read that there's problems. We see that there's a little bit of a problem.
Yeah.
Those two had 2 major roadblocks for him in that race.
And I'm assuming it's Bill Parcells. It's August Don Farm, named after linebacker Jesse Tuggle.
Jesse Tuggle, yes, it is.
5-time Pro Bowler, who was nicknamed the Hammer because he was such a great tackler. Did not want to get hit by him.
He didn't get his due because LT was on the other side, but Jesse Tuggle was pretty darn good, yeah.
Here's No Word, trained by Todd Pletcher. Jose Ortiz won the debut at Saratoga.
Yeah, and so professional in that race. He was down inside. He got bumped at the start. And being down inside like he was in that race, and it didn't faze him, and Jose Ortiz was able to get him out going into the coming into the stretch. He lengthened his stride, quickened up like a good horse, and he ran like a horse that had run probably 10 times. And you don't see that in a first-time starter. and go on and win like he wins here.
Yeah, I'm actually with you, Gary. To me, he got a tiny bit green late, but he's really not. Watch him here when he hit him left-handed, right there. You can physically, or excuse me, with your eyes, you can see the acceleration when Jose hit him left-handed. Man, he took off. So he's going to be a handful if he has no hiccups here.
Grade 3 Pilgrim coming up. It is Paddock Report time. We head downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
Thanks, guys, and we'll see 2 horses probably vying for favoritism as we approach post time for this Pilgrim Grade 3 event on the turf for the 2-year-olds. And I do prefer Structure over number 2, No Word. I just think Structure has a bit of a future. I mean, they did pay $850,000 for him at the OBS March sale, so there's some talent there, and he just exudes class, and he's physically mature. He looks fantastic here, and I really think he's going to be able to take that step up off the back of what was a slow maiden performance, at least based on speed figures, and run very well here for the ever-dangerous Chad Brown barn. Next, we'll move on to number 5, Maxwell Esquire, a New York bred. Christophe Clement stating, well, there's not many options when you've won a 2-year-old race on the turf. So he's going to try him against Open Company here, and Graded Stakes Company at that. But physically, he matches right up with the best of them here. I like this horse. Physically, he's gotten stronger now for his 3rd outing of his career. He's super classy acting. He just takes everything in stride. And I like the fact that he's actually put on weight and muscle mass with each and every start, each and every time I've seen him. So I think this New York bred actually could run very well here. As we'll check in with number 6, Our Country. As we've heard Gary talking about, this guy caused a lot of problems. He kind of leapt up at the start, and then he spooked from the inside horse, which was Tuggle, and then he ran off on Manny Franco, and there wasn't much he could do. He just blindly ran off with him in the race, and I'm a little bit dubious about what he's going to do out there today, because he's been very wound up in the paddock. And I don't remember him being that way in his previous efforts, especially going back to his maiden breaking score. So he seems like a horse that's just getting a little bit too riled up with his racing. As number 8 is Famish, trying the turf for the first time for John Kimmel, a son of Uncle Mo. There is not much turf pedigree to speak of on the bottom side, though. Although that Uncle Mo influence I like, and he actually looks as though he should handle the turf. Overall, he looks fantastic. A little bit hesitant, though, because this horse did run well going the 7/8. Why wouldn't we take a stab in the Champagne, as John Kimmel has stated? Just wanted the easier route, possibly, to getting to the Breeders' Cup, Greg.
Maggie, thank you. And right at that 6-1 morning line, there's Manny Franco. He won this race last year for Jeremiah Engelhardt and Bill Parcells' August Dawn Farm. This time teaming up with George Weaver on Our Country. The Pilgrim is next.
Run Happy, you know, he's 16-2, he's a beautiful horse. There's stamina on top and bottom, and he's stamping his horses with that. I think they look big and fast, and like horses that'll go on and run a distance as well as short.
He was a fantastic racehorse. If he passes on his ability as a racehorse, I think he's a slam dunk to be a great sire. Very athletic looking and beautiful bodied horse as well.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
That time at Oaklawn, win a home run. Made for a big night. Bet on your favorite teams at Oaklawn's new race and sports book. Oaklawn, a new level of action, a new level of excitement.
The thermal spring waters our city is named after are known for their legendary healing properties. Their thirst-quenching properties are pretty nice, too. Hot Springs, Arkansas. It's different here. Come see why.
Mastery retired undefeated, winning his 4 starts by a combined 20 lengths. A 6-figure September sale purchase, he won impressively in his 2-year-old debut at Santa Anita. From there, he captured the Grade 3 Bob Hope Stakes and completed his juvenile campaign with a dominant performance in the Grade 1 Los Alamitos Futurity. At 3, the top-rated son of Candy Ride sizzled in the San Felipe. Now his much-anticipated first crop has arrived. Mastery, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on America's Day at the Races, our post-parade for the Pilgrim, brought to you by OCD Pellets. Build stronger bone with their 2-in-1 bone and joint supplement. Go to OCDpellets.com for more information. Here's Tuggle, Jeremiah Engelhardt for Bill Parcells' August Dawn Farm.
And he's got a new rider today. Jose Lascano will be aboard. We talked about the trouble he had in the with anticipation, hoping for a cleaner trip today.
Todd Pletcher sends out No Word, winner at first asking at Saratoga.
Very good first time out, very professional. Jose Ortiz will take them out. Your deserving favorite right now at 5-2.
Brad Cox sends out Andesite, ran third in the grade 3 with Anticipation.
Yeah, and he's still going to have to step it up. He really didn't have any trouble in that race. He was a little wide on the turns, but I think he's going to have to run better today to win it.
Getting on turf for the first time at start number 3, No Lime for Hall of Famer Bill Mott.
Yeah, 31 on the morning line, 12-1. And if you look at Flashback, he's been okay, 14%. That's because he's a son of Tappet as a sire, so maybe an outsider here to put in your tries or supers.
The New York bred Maxwell Esquire for Christophe Clement.
Yeah, and I wouldn't worry about that New York bred. He was very impressive in his maiden breaker last time out.
Of course, the Maggie was talking about was a little wound up in the paddock. That is the 6, who we'll see momentarily here. Our Country on the board at 4-1, and there is the son of Constitution for George Weaver.
You can see he's tiny bit, but I'll tell you what, he's dangerous because George Weaver was having an unlucky Saratoga meet. His horse has been firing here at Belmont, so this son of Constitution, I think, has a big shot.
Chad Brown sends out the $850,000 son of Palace Malice Structor.
Oh, and he's jumping tire tracks as he goes by. He's an athlete. I don't know if you guys saw that right there. And he won with a lot of class, and I'd expect him to improve again today.
Famished, son of Uncle Mo, trained by John Kimmel, also gets on turf for the first time.
Yeah, the Ontario bred here by a survivalist mare. I would think should like the turf. They got this 2-year-old son of Uncle Mo on the turf at Belmont. 2 starts back on the work.
And Speed Rider on a speedy son of Fast Anna, the Gray Blur for Christopher Davis.
Yeah, he more than likely is going to set the pace in here. He's coming in from Kentucky Downs, which I would throw that race out. You know, it's a difficult kind of racetrack to run on. He broke his maiden the time before that.
Still our favorite, No Word. Very impressive first time out in that maiden score at Saratoga, trained by Todd Pletcher. For more, let's go to Acacia Courtney.
I'm here in the paddock with trainer Todd Pletcher, who has No Word heading out in the Pilgrim. And Todd, a very impressive debut for this horse at Saratoga. What were your takeaways from that race?
Well, he trained forwardly for his debut. We expected a good effort. I thought he, really ran a terrific race and very solid performance. Galloped out strongly. He's come back with a couple of good works since then. So we're looking forward to seeing how he handles the step up in class.
Obviously stepping up to face tougher competition. What is it that you want to see from this horse at this stage of the game?
Well, just another professional effort would be fine. I'm a little unsure of how the early pace is going to play out in this race. You got a couple horses coming from shorter races. I suspect the one horse might show some speed this time. So Jose is just going to try to look for a comfortable spot, get him into a good rhythm, and hope he finishes well.
He seems like a very mature horse as well.
He's handled everything very professionally, very straightforward kind of horse to train. He's been like that since day one.
Todd, thanks so much. Best of luck today.
Thank you.
All right, Acacia, thank you. No Word trying to punch his ticket to the Breeders' Cup. It was won by Line of Duty last year. Mendelssohn the year before that.
Pretty good horses.
Mendelssohn, of course, kept thinking this was a super horse, and they wanted to get him a win on Dirty. Ran huge in the Travers last year. But we'll see. These 2-year-olds can improve just by leaps and bounds from start to start. We saw Chad Brown with a first-timer, a half to Lady Eli filly earlier on the card. And now his Structor has become the favorite at 5-2 in start number 2.
Is that the Chad Brown factor, or is it because they paid $850,000 for a stallion that stands for $15,000? That's Palace Malice. And he's been getting turf runners. Didn't get a great buyer, but at 6-5 was able to get the job done. And I thought it was a professional effort. It just got a lower number, but it's Chad Brown, Gary.
Well, I'm in agreement with you. That second-place horse was eating him up in the last 100 yards of the race. How much was left? I don't know how much was left. Visually, it wasn't that impressive, but second time out for Chad Brown. His horses always move forward. Everything is a procession and an experience for Chad Brown to develop his horses and move them all to the next step. They're not punished and ridden hard in their morning workouts prior to their first races, and they mature with each and every race. And I'd expect him to show improvement off of that win, and it wasn't a bad race, don't get me wrong.
Let's go back to Maggie again, on board Jaeger on the track for more.
Thanks, Greg. And I just want to circle back to number 6 in here, Our Country. Well, he's been fairly well behaved with the pony, and it seemed as though he needed the pony the whole time. As you can see, though, he has, as he's right in front of me now, he's gotten hotter than any other horse out here. As we see Manny scraping the sweat off of him as well on the offside of his neck. Look, physically he looks fine. You know, sometimes you look for horses that maybe they've lost a little weight and they're nervous like that, but that's not the case. He's carrying his weight and his conditioning well. I'm just a little concerned about that. But good thing is it hasn't gone on and gotten worse since being out here on track. Now, number 8, Famish, as he tries the turf for the first time, he is a very nice mover. So sometimes that translates well to horses liking the turf. So I am cautiously optimistic about his chances getting on the green stuff today. And then finally on the outside, the Gray Blur. He looks to be the speed on paper, and he definitely looks that way physically and with his warm-up as he is sharp. And he has a speed rider aboard, Kendrick Carmouche. They'll be looking for that lead from that outside post, which I would say is slightly at a disadvantage, just slightly on this outside turf course, but he is ready to rock and roll from the stalls. Acacia?
Maggie, thank you. I did speak to owner Randy Hill about the 6 Our Country and the way that he's been acting and what happened last time. He told me that he did end up getting almost his cheek or his tongue caught in the bit last time out, which sometimes can happen with a rubber piece on the side of the bit. So that explains a little bit about why he got so rank and was pulling so much. He said they've taken a lot of precautions to get him a little bit more settled today, though it does still look like he is continuing to be keyed up, Greg.
Acacia, thank you. They load up for the Grade 3 Pilgrim. There is a look at Andesite, and this is the one who finished the best of the bunch. We know there was all that trouble and excuses for the other runners, but of that trio coming out of the With Anticipation, hit the board in that race, the biggest price, 12-1 on the board. As they load up, who will punch their ticket and move on to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, the 2 No Word, the 7 Structure, top 2 choices on the board. Let's go to the voice of New York Racing for the call. Here's Larry Colmus.
The Gray Blur moving into the starting gate. Steps forward and goes in. They're all in line. They're off in the Pilgrim. And a good start for Structor. Sent along as Tuggle from the inside to grab the early lead. Then the Gray Blur on the far outside, and Maxwell Esquire going up in between horses. Andesite has the rail. No Lime is right there in contention too, and moving up about 3 lengths off the lead. Then comes No Word on the inside. Famished is second last. Our Country is the trailer. Onto the backstretch. Tuggle in front. Maxwell Esquire, a neck back on the outside second. And then it's Andesite. A 3-wide Structor and No Lime between those two. A 23.77 quarter. Then it's the Gray Blur who's back there running in 6th. Racing 6 lengths off the lead and tracked by No Word. Famished in Our Country continue to race at the rear of the field. Up the backstretch they go, and Tuggle's in front. Maxwell Esquire on the outside, pressing the pace through this first half mile. And then it's Andesite in 3rd. 47.23 was that half. And now on the outside, Structor grabs 3rd and heads up after the leaders. No Lime is next, and then the Gray Blur, followed by Famished. And No Word is going to have an inside trip on that turn. 5 lengths from the front, need a way through there, and Our Country at the back of the pack. Around the far turn they go. Tuggle on the inside. Maxwell Esquire. On their outside comes Structor, and the 3 of them will turn for home together. Plenty of competition behind them. Andesite is in behind horses. And trying to squeeze through there is No Word, looking for some running room, and bumped with Our Country, who's on the far outside. Structor has hit the front with a furlong to run. It's now Structor, Our Country, closing on the far outside. Famished right behind them. Andesite is on the inside, and then it's No Word. They're coming down to the line. Structor and Andesite, and it is Structor in the Pilgrim. Over Andesite, Our Country, and Famished.
Structor, Chad Brown, Irad Ortiz Jr., now 2 for 2.
I hate to say it, but the horse was much the best. I mean, of all the horses, I know there was a ton of trouble in this race, and you can go back and make excuses for a lot of horses. And the 4 was loaded, No Lime, a big prize. The 2 was loaded, No Word. But you know what? This horse was 3 to 4 wide the whole way, Gary, and he fended everybody off. There was so much going on. I can't explain it all, but
Look,
he got the job done.
I'm going to say something. I hate it when they have graded races and they have the rail out as far as it is right now. Look how crowded these horses are. I mean, it makes it almost impossible to come from off the pace and get any kind of clean trip. All these guys are trying to save ground and get positioned to make their run coming into the stretch. I'm not taking anything away from the winner, but I'd like to see a couple of these horses get a cleaner trip than what they got. Man, no word. I mean, he was stopped 4 or 5 times for Jose Ortiz. He's not going to be very happy with himself.
The 25-to-1 shot, no line was loaded too,
yeah,
Gary.
And nothing any of them could really do.
Yeah.
It just makes it very difficult. But congratulations to Structer, and he did improve. He stepped it up today, and he was wide, and he was best.
And that rail out, as we take another look, 27 feet.
Yeah.
Here's the other part of this. Our country all worked up, ran a bang-up race completely wide. He was rolling on the outside. So was Andesite on the inside.
And if we can get another shot of these horses coming into the stretch, look what No Word does to our country when he about knocked him off his feet, just rounding out of the turn. They made contact hard enough, and our country had all 4 feet off. It's already happened, guys.
Yeah, the horse with the white cap is the 2. Yeah, he already took him up. And you could see he's just got nowhere to go, Jose Ortiz, on the 2 with the white cap. Now he's going to swing outside in the path of the 6 and start finishing. Famish, the 8, didn't have the best of trips, too, with Rosario first time on the turf. He took to the turf.
So the son of Palace Malice went for $850,000 at auction. He's now 2 for 2. Structer the win. Let's go to Maggie.
And 2 for 2 with Irad Ortiz aboard. As Irad, you win your first Pilgrim. It seems kind of hard to believe that almost, but Structer, he was very impressive. Now, that race came back slow in which he won his maiden in, but how much has he improved from that first start for you?
We went a little slow pace. The track wasn't that fast that day, but he finished really good. He finished a little strong, going to the wire. I really like him. So, I mean, I just ride it with confidence. He improved a lot. He probably need the first race. He still won that day, and now he's much better now with that race on the bell. And he just, you can see how good he is.
He is. I mean, because you didn't have any kind of ground-saving trip whatsoever from your post, and the fact that he had a bit of early foot. So, I mean, kind of talk about that and his performance of being wide throughout.
Last time he broke a little king, and I put him in the clear, and he relaxed so good. He brakes so good. The speed horses go. I see it. I was on the clear. I tried to cover up, but I can't do anything now. I don't want to keep taking back. He was going relaxed. I know my trainer probably don't like to see that, going that wild the whole race, but I mean, that's how the race comes up, and I just ride my horse, and things go work out good.
Chad can't be angry with you. You won, Irad.
No, I mean, he gave me a lot of confidence to ride the horse, and all the horses. He gave me a lot of confidence. He gave me some instruction, but he gave me confidence too. He told me do whatever you want, no pressure, and just ride my race.
Irad, congratulations. Also, before, I know you weren't on her, but Lady Eli's little sister won.
Yeah, it's really nice. I mean, it's really nice for me to see another sister of her winning like that and that impressive. I wish I could have rode him, but it don't work out like that. I just ride for Peter and Stephanie on that race. I'm happy, you know, we win and just enjoy. Hopefully, good luck with their all her connections.
Well, Irad, you have to be confident as well heading into the Breeders' Cup with Structer today. He was fantastic. Congrats.
Thank you.
All right, Structer, guys, he is very classy. You can see why they paid that $850,000 for him.
Seems like he has a big future. And Gary, I mean, when there's Chad Brown, you can't say enough about how dominant he is, especially in turf racing with his runners, how much his horses improve. But Irad Ortiz Jr., I mean, runner-up, obviously, to his brother at the Saratoga meet. But there was a time, I mean, he was untouchable. He won with 8 of his 13 mounts, where he had about a week-and-a-half streak. He is so talented and still getting better.
Yeah, I mean, both the Ortiz brothers and Class X, the both of them, they've learned their lessons well. They continue to improve and hone their skills every day. And you learn with different situations throughout your career, and that's how you make the improvements, is realizing when you make mistakes and not making the same mistake twice in a row, or trying not to, and that's how you improve, and that's what these kids do.
Yeah, it couldn't be said any better. I mean, you get into a jock's room or you're rookies, you see Structer gets the job done here, a son of Palace Malice of the More Than Ready Mare, Mrs. Always Ready. You're just not the king in the room. But these two kids walked into that room very, very humble and have gotten better and better. each year, and when you get better and better in each year, they're just students of the game. And it's the same thing in every other sport. You get into the locker room, you let guys like Gary Stevens, you let guys like Mike Smith, you let guys like Eric Karros, who was my mentor with the Dodgers, teach you how to do things right. Some kids don't want to listen. These two kids listened, and they listened very well.
Students of the sport, ultra competitive, and they're at the top of the game right now, and they still have room to grow and get better, which is such a scary thought, as good as they are, as we take another look into the stretch.
It already happened again.
Yeah. The poor four-horse.
That's all right, guys.
By the way, the four-horse who's dead last year at the turn, that horse, Junior just stopped on him because he got crushed too. But our country, you're right, Gary. I think our country ran a bang-up race, and George Weaver has some here. If he can get his preliminaries to get him settled down a little bit, he's going to be okay.
That's that 6-horse in the salmon colors.
Yeah.
That was one of those races that, as a jockey, you do not want to gallop back and look at the trainer. And it's just eyes. They don't even have to say anything. And believe me, there's a bunch of guys wish they had a do-over there. And I'm not so sure that even if you did a do-over under these circumstances, there was nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Well, Maggie talked about our country, the 6 being wound up in the paddock. We saw Manny Franco wiping the sweat off the shoulder blade. So, yeah, if that horse can settle down, could have a bright future. But Structure, he's undefeated right now, and he'll be going to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf for Chad Brown. We'll be back.
Practical Joke always showed a lot of ability. He showed a lot of heart, a lot of determination. Right from the first breeze, he identified himself as one of the best in his crop.
Practical Joke down to the wire, the Champagne!
Practical Joke took both the Hopeful and the Champagne Stakes, and he's a fast, tough, precocious 2-year-old, trained on, showed even better form at 3.
It is Practical Joke in the Allen Jerkins.
He's going to be a horse that no commercial breeder can leave off their list.
We're gonna go traveling.
Run Happy is simply super. He polishes off an outstanding campaign with a dominant victory in the Malibu.
No medication, no problem. Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Whether you have Derby dreams or Midsummer Derby dreams, this is Tom Durkin to tell you a registered New York bred can take you there.
Diversify.
That New York bred Exact and the Whitney by multimillionaires Diversify and Mind Your Biscuits shows the kind of quality that allowed New York breds to earn more than $93 million on the world stage last year. On-track successes have spurred New York bred sales result. At the March OBS sale, Chestertown sold for $2 million. And this New York bred 2018 yearling brought $1 million at Saratoga. So get with the program at nybreds.com.
Back on America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2, MSG Plus, and other regional networks across the country here on Super Saturday at Belmont Park. And we just saw Structure for trainer Chad Brown win the Grade 3 Pilgrim. Let's head downstairs to Acacia Courtney.
Greg, thank you. And standing by with winning trainer Chad Brown, Structure seemed to really take a step forward facing Graded Stakes Company and just his second start. What were your takeaways today?
Yeah, I was very impressed. You know, he got a wide trip there, and Irad was trying to tuck him in the best he could, but some horses got some position inside of him before him, and I was surprised he was able to gut it out late. I thought he had, like I said, a wide, fatiguing trip, and he was able to overcome it. I'm impressed.
You got a chance to speak to Irad afterwards, and when you have a horse that has an eventful trip like that, with not having as much experience, how does that set him up moving forward? Really a learning chance for him.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's what he was just relaying to me. He said he thinks it's really going to move him forward. He said that horse was blown pretty good, you know, coming out, and he should be fit going into this race. It just goes to show you the taxing trip he had. He was able to overcome it and really dig in. Like I said, I'm impressed.
Chad, thanks so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Structure taking a big step forward to get the Grade 3 Pilgrim. Greg?
Acacia, thank you. It's incredible what that trainer, Chad Brown, continues to do in this game, how dominant he is.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like it, especially when it comes to turf races. And you can see all the trouble we have. Yeah, the favorite with the white cap. I mean,
watch him hit the.
Watch him T-bone the
pink silks on the outside.
Because he's trying to get out, right, Gare?
Oh, he's gonna come out right now.
Ooh. Yeah, he did. You're right. Oh my God, he did. He sort of T-boned him.
Yeah.
And then he decided, you know what? I can't get inside of him.
Looks worse.
I got to cut to the inside, Jose.
It looked worse when I first watched it, but nasty trip for a few horses. But take nothing away from structure. His future is great.
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, sort of a grinder, Greg, right? Looks like he wants to keep on going like a long way. And you look like Andesite's closing, but never getting there, right?
Yep. Doesn't scoot away, but never lets him get any closer. Here's a look at the late pick 5 follow along, over $500,000. The pool today started with Saratoga Treasure, which has been the biggest price. There's been a free square. I think most everyone took advantage of with Midnight Bisou, and now comes our main event. The Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup, and 3-year-olds taking on the 2 or 3 older horses in here. Tacitus, Code of Honor. Code of Honor, your Travers winner. Tacitus, runner-up, taking on Vino Rosso, Preservationist, and of course your big outsider there, Olympic Village, in the race as well. But this is going to be fascinating, not just a key race in the handicap division, but potentially, if a horse can win this race, go on to win the Breeders' Cup Classic. Not only divisional honors, but potentially Horse of the Year as well.
Are you surprised of the 4 horses that Preservationist is 4th choice?
Yeah, it's crazy. Early on, we have some time. I want to remind everyone, you can get ready for the Breeders' Cup Classic in Pad your bankroll with the Breeders' Cup Classic prep bonus. Earn a $20 credit if you hit a $20 win bet on the NyraBets app on each of today's Breeders' Cup Classic preps. Jockey Club Gold Cup, Lucas Classic at Churchill, and the Awesome Again at Santa Anita. Go to nyrabets.com for more information. There is Shug McGahee. Code of Honor. He wanted to get him to the Travers. As you take a look at today's Breeders' Cup Classic preps, after he knew, Gary, that he didn't win the Kentucky Derby, he said that we're going to back off on the Triple Crown and try and create a path to get to and win the Travers, and that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, he did, and he knew that he was a late foal, and he knew he was going to mature. He was hoping that he would mature, and that's why he's in the Hall of Fame, is he can read these horses early on in their careers, figure out what their career should be, dirt, turf, whatever, and how he's going to get to what the final destination is going to be.
Trained easy goer to a Travers win and a victory in this race back in 1989 in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. Can he do the same with Code of Honor? Who will take home that hardware? Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup is next on America's Day at the Races. Stay tuned.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with NyraBets. Rushes out of there to take the lead. It's easy on your computer or NyraBets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NyraBets.com. Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Here comes Cigar uncorking his rally. Unaccounted for third, and Thunder Gulch will be defeated today. Cigar explodes. Cigar opening up in mid-stretch. Cigar there by a length. Unaccounted for will make him work for it today. It's Cigar past the 16th pole, a length and a half lead. Unaccounted for, second best to the sensational Cigar. One of the great ones indeed. He has won 11 in a row.
That was the great Cigar winning the 1995 Jockey Club Gold Cup, part of a stretch of 16 straight victories. As you take a look at the flowers that will drape the winner of this prestigious Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup. It's pretty interesting with Cigar. When he was transferred to Belmont, he actually, in his first 4 starts, did not finish better than third. And then he'd go on to win 16 in a row.
The best story about that, as Simon Brady tells me, is the girl that galloped the horse goes, "You guys are all crazy. When are you going to stick this horse on the dirt?" And that's why they stuck the horse on the dirt. And boom shakalaka. Then Mike Smith had to take off the horse after he won on Cigar. So I think it's just a great story.
Well, here's Belmont's Tacitus. And Gary, they put blinkers on him last time out. They did not expect him to be as keen early. He was in front going into that first turn in the Travers. They still want him to have more punch left in the lane late, maybe not be as eager early today.
Well, I think everybody learned a lesson possibly in the Travers, and that they don't need to be aggressive with him leaving there with those blinkers on. With the combination of the more aggression caused from the blinkers, I've got to think that Jose Ortiz is going to sit a little bit quieter. Just hope that he gets a clean break, but I think it may still put him on the lead.
Well, let's go to Acacia Courtney standing by with Jose right now.
Walking into the paddock, and Jose, it's a smaller field here. Your horse has some speed. We saw that last time out in the Travers. How important is the start of the race today with the way that it is set up?
We had to break good because from mile and a quarter, it's just like a bend shoot there. So it's important break good out of the one hole and get into a good position early.
And talk about how you thought he handled everything last time out in the Travers.
He handled it well. Was a little aggressive out of the gate. That was the reason he was a little bit closer. But we're very happy the way he ran. I mean, hopefully he run that kind of race today again.
Jose, thank you. Best of luck.
Thank you.
And that was his first start with the blinkers on, Maggie. We'll see what we get from Tacitus today.
That's exactly right, Acacia. As all 3 horses that I'll talk about here in the Belmont paddock, well, they had some issues with the Saratoga paddock and just kind of the energy that you experience up in Saratoga. And one of them was Tacitus, who came fairly unraveled back in that Jim Dandy. They put the blinkers on last time, and it seemed to focus and settle him quite a bit. But still, he's even more settled here in the paddock at Belmont. It's just amazing kind of what a change of scenery can do. He looks fantastic, as he has physically looked this way throughout this entire 3-year-old campaign. And yes, Code of Honor is incredibly talented, but if you're looking at these two, there's one that looks as though he's an older horse and fits with the other two older horses, I should say, and that's Tacitus. So we'll see as we'll move on to Vino Rosso, who's start in the Whitney. He was coming off a bit of a layoff, and he just seemed hot. He seemed agitated that day. It was a warm day up at Saratoga. It's a bit cooler today. And yeah, he's gotten a little bit sweaty between the legs, but that's not untypical for him. But I've never seen him look this good and train as well as he has leading up to this with the blinkers off for trainer Todd Pletcher. So I like what I'm seeing from Vino Rosso, at least in first impressions here in the paddock. Now, Preservationist, as we all know, going back to that Whitney, kind of lost his race as well when they got out on track and in the paddock. And here at Belmont, as he is typically in the past, he's been pretty calm, cool, and collected. Getting a little bit ears up, head up, as the riders are about to get aboard here in the paddock. But Preservation, he's just a hunk. I mean, he's just this big, strapping horse. And he's the one I feel most comfortable in taking going this mile and a quarter, Greg.
Maggie, thank you. Well, he's won at a mile and a quarter, and he did it right here at Belmont in the Grade 2 Suburban. Maybe his most impressive performance of his career, even though he did add a Grade 1 Woodward most recently at Saratoga. But a 6-year-old that Jimmy Jerkins has been ultra patient with, and that patience has paid off.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's talking about his defeat in the Whitney. Let's talk about the Woodward and talk about the Suburban, especially like you just did. It was 1.25 miles, the same distance as what we have today. Ran the best buyer he's run of his career, and the 3-year-olds are going to have to step it up to beat him today if he runs that type of race he ran in the Suburban.
Yeah, this was ultra impressive. I mean, I've said this like 10 times this week. Junior Alvarado, man, wow. He's hand rode him through that hole. Takes a good rider, great rider, and a great horse and the courage to do that. And you can see as soon as he got clear, boom, he just took off. I mean, this is a classy ride, classy horse. So I think he wants to sit behind horses. That's the worry here because he might be the fastest horse in this group, out of the gate at least.
He showed so much willingness
courage,
to go through
yeah,
that
he did.
small hole, too, in that Woodward win. What a performance.
And like Maggie said, he's a big strapping hole. How hard is that to do, to get a horse through that hole like that, you know?
Well, he's an athlete. I mean, all of these horses are true athletes. Not saying that they're
yeah, true, yeah.
not all true athletes, but some of them are more handy than others.
Meanwhile, Shug McGahee, he has the Travers winner, the 3-year-old Code of Honor, who has moved up to second via disqualification in the Kentucky Derby. Shug trying to win this race for the 4th time in his career, and he has a horse that he expected to sort of blossom later in his 3-year-old campaign, and he's certainly done a tremendous job doing that. Code of Honor is the favorite right now at 9-5. Here's our post-parade, and we kick things off with our Wood Memorial winner, Tacitus, still looking for his first Grade 1 win.
Yeah, and I really think he could be our pacemaker here because of the configuration of Belmont and where this race starts, and we'll talk about that more after the post-parade.
Here's our Travers winner, Code of Honor, trying to win 3 in a row. He was so impressive here, Paulie, winning the Dwyer.
He really was, man. He took off in the Dwyer. He franked that effort in the Travers. He's got some kick. Shug looking for his 4th.
Vino Rosso, he'll take blinkers off today. Todd Pletcher, he scratched him out of the Woodward to point here instead.
Yeah, and he's versatile, and I think he can get the perfect trip here today. He's been working lights out, and it's all going to be up to Jose Ortiz where he wants to put him.
Preservationist, here is the 6-year-old for Jimmy Jerkins. He has won 4 of his last 5 starts.
We just showed you the Woodward win. He had a great Suburban win. When you look at his Whitney, he was chasing McKenzie. It's a tough thing to do when you get in chase mode, or actually McKenzie was chasing him, and he sort of ran off on Junior Alvarado. Could be a different story today.
And here's Olympic Village. Yes, he's won 3 in a row, but this is a monumental step up in class. He should be maybe at a 0 on the end of those odds.
Well, you know what? Maybe at a 0, but with the way things have gone this year with claiming horses and Grade 1 races of what we saw last week in Parks, what we saw in the Kentucky Derby, former claimers, what they've gone on and done, don't say it can't happen.
Well, we saw it in this race last year with a 45-1 shot. Discreet Cat winning this race. Let's go to Acacia Courtney for more.
Greg, thank you. I'm standing by with Jimmy Jerkins, who has Preservationist coming off of that nice Woodward win. He's certainly, we know, been a little bit of a tricky horse at times to keep on the racetrack, but it seems like he's just been in such a great groove in this later part of 2019.
Yeah, it was good to see finally. It's a long time coming, but, you know, thank God it's worked out this year and hope he can go on.
What did it mean for you and for the whole Centennial Farm crew, who certainly likes to come out in droves, to get that Woodward win last time, and what have you seen from him since?
Well, it's huge. Anytime you win a big race like that with any horse, but, you know, one that's been through the mill, that he's been back and forth to the farm like a yo-yo, and, you know, and everybody kept their faith, so it was gratifying.
It's a smaller field in here today, perhaps not much pace. How do you see it playing out for your horse?
I don't know. It's, you know, got to pretty much leave it up to Junior. I mean, shouldn't be anything wrong with him galloping to lead easy enough. You know, he's got a nice, easy way of going, and certainly it looks like he has the stamina. So, you know, as long as it's reasonable, I don't see any problem with it.
Jimmy, thanks so much for your time. Best of luck, and great to see you back here at the racetrack.
Thank you very much.
Greg?
Acacia, thank you. And that's the key, as Jimmy Jerkins just told you. It was difficult trying to get that lead, being shoved to try and get to the front in the Whitney. But credit to Jimmy Jerkins and Centennial Farms keeping Junior Alvarado on board this horse in the Woodward, and they got their Grade 1 win.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, because when I was talking about the configuration of where this race starts, they're going to break. That's clear out in the 5 post position. You can see they start, and they're going to run directly at the turn. So if the one horse Tacitus, if he doesn't get away clean, it's like a giant wave. Even though there's only 4 horses on the outside of him, it's like a giant wave coming over, and you can get shuffled clear back to the back, and Tacitus doesn't want to be back there. He'll get rank if he is. back there. I think that Jose's going to let him roll away from there, and hopefully in his mind Preservationist doesn't go with him, and if he does, these two could wind up both getting a little bit aggressive on the lead, both horses, and that's not what you want, and that could set it up for perfectly for a Code of Honor or a Vino Rosso.
Code of Honor, the thing with Code of Honor is now as he clicks down as your favorite is he had so much time. You mentioned this to me, Greg, between the Dwyer and the Travers. So perfectly timed for Shug. Now, not that much time against these other horses. Where when you look at Vino Rosso, he's the one horse here waiting in the wings when all these other horses have ran their races at Saratoga. Vino Rosso did run a decent third against McKenzie in the Whitney. He sat out the Woodward. He sat out, some of the other races, and he's sort of the fresh horse.
And Gary, we got to look at him as you take a look at that gate configuration. But yeah, 6 weeks from the Dwyer to the Travers. Now just 4 weeks, and we know he's a smaller horse too.
Listen, when we played that sound from Shug yesterday, and he said that he's had 5 satisfactory works since his race, that's like saying they were A+ works coming from Shug McGahey. That was a vote of confidence, and I think he's going to have to improve today, again, off of the Travers to beat Preservationist. If they all run their races, if everything's said and done, he's going to have to improve again. And I think he does improve again today, and I think we're going to see him in the winner's circle when this is all said and done.
We've seen this horse, sorry to cut you off.
That's all right.
Have a lot of bad luck in races, and most of it he created himself. He had that bad start in the Jim Dandy. He looked a little rambunctious before he went into the gate for that race, and then he had that wide trip in the Belmont. The Travers sent to the front too early, and that may have cost him. So it's been 3 races in a row now where he's had excuses.
But there wasn't excuses before that, right? Although he had issues with Tax in the Wood. He overcame trouble there because he was just better than Tax. But then that's when the trouble started in the Wood, right? He became this horse that's, we're starting to think, is he jinxed a tiny bit? Worst part of the racetrack at Belmont. Are we believing that now? Maybe. Worst part of the racetrack in the Jim Dandy. Are we believing that now? I don't know. Travers. We keep making excuses for him. So I wanted to pick him today, and I ended up going to Vino Rosso because I just can't make another excuse for him.
5-2 on the board. Right now on Tacitus. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
And out on the track here in front of the starting stalls, and I'm sure Gary can elaborate on this, but because it's such a short field, it's actually an advantageous thing as far as the starting stalls are concerned. The 1 hole is actually technically in the 5 hole, that they do tend to leave that first hole open. So instead of having to break from the 1 hole here, Tacitus, in which if he ran in a straight line, if you're talking about geometry here, he'd be running straight at the 1.25 mile pole on this inside rail. So therefore, being out here a bit more, it's almost as if everybody gets a straight run into this first turn here, which is more like a dog leg now, considering. So I think it's a much fairer start. So let's talk about number 2, Code of Honor. Johnny Velasquez kept him very, very quiet as far as warm-ups are concerned. He stayed with the pony. He did a lot of jogging, not an exuberant type of warm-up. So I'm thinking they're going to try the same old thing that they've done and have been successful with in the past, and that is just make one run. Keep him behind the pace. Now, he does tend to get to look a little hot and washy out here, but that's typical, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. Loading up for the Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup. The 2 older horses, both graded stakes winners at this distance, taking on the top 2 finishers from the Travers and the 2 Code of Honor and the 1 Tacitus. We send it upstairs to the voice of horse racing's Triple Crown for the call of the Jockey Club Gold Cup. Here's Larry Colmus.
They're all in line. They're off in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. And Tacitus comes out running from his inside stall. Vino Rosso goes with him, and Vino Rosso to the early lead. Tacitus is going right with him, though, on the inside, and it's these 2 ahead of Preservationist. Then Olympic Village and Code of Honor taking his spot at the rear of the field as Tacitus is now taken back to let Vino Rosso set the pace onto the backstretch. Tacitus has been guided now to the outside by Jose Ortiz, and Preservationist is now coming up on their outside to make it 3 together after a 24:02 quarter. And Code of Honor is up running in 4th right now. He's 3.5 lengths off the lead. then Olympic Village at the back of the pack. So up the backstretch they go, and it is Vino Rosso in front, as Tacitus has been guided to the outside, and now these two are stride for stride on the lead. Rod Ortiz with Vino Rosso, Jose Ortiz and Tacitus. Head and head up the backstretch. Preservationist is just off them, 2 lengths off the lead. Then the Travers winner, Code of Honor. He's got 3.5 lengths to make up at this stage. Olympic Village trails through a 47.73 half mile. They continue up the backstretch. Vino Rosso, the leader, a half a length. Tacitus on the outside is second. Preservationist is side by side with Code of Honor. And these two are 2 lengths from the pace setters. And Olympic Village is the trailer as they round the far turn, 3/4, 111.63. It is Vino Rosso and Tacitus, and nothing separates these two as they make their way around the far turn, and Code of Honor is only a length and a half behind them. Junior Alvarado asking more from Preservationist now. He's fourth as Code of Honor now swings up on the outside, and Vino Rosso's in front at the top of the stretch. Code of Honor makes his move on the outside. Tacitus fights on between those two. Preservationist is fourth as Code of Honor and Vino Rosso come stride for stride into the final 16th. It is Code of Honor on the outside. Vino Rosso, dead game at the rail. These two will decide a thrilling Jockey Club Gold Cup, and it is very close. It looked like Vino Rosso has edged out Code of Honor on the wire, and then it was Tacitus and Preservationist.
What a stretch duel in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. The 4-year-old for Todd Pletcher, Vino Rosso, out-dueling your Travers winner, 3-year-old Code of Honor.
Yeah, and I just got out-dueled by Paul and Duca. We were both riding separate horses through the stretch. It was a heck of a horse race, a fun horse race to watch.
Wow.
And, you got me there, bud. You outrode me.
I can't believe this horse won this race. Irad Ortiz Jr. went 47 and change. I looked at both of you. I go, how'd you like to have 1,000 to win on Code of Honor? And when Vino Rosso, when he went left-handed, now he did a great job of getting his horse to look at Code of Honor, and he started to compete.
Look, it was great strategy. You could tell the way that Irad was crouched down on Vino Rosso leaving the gate, that Todd told him, put him on the lead.
Yep.
And they made sure that everybody knew he was going to lead, and then he was able to slow the pace down, and it was a terrific ride, and it was a great ride by Johnny as well.
Questions about Tacitus last time out being too keen early on with those blinkers. Preservationist with that Whitney where we set to the front, nobody wanted the front. And Vino Rosso said, you know what, I'll take it.
Again, no, what do we see? The horse with the most rest. This horse, August 3rd, he skipped 2 horses in the Travers. He skipped the Woodward. Todd Pletcher had him ready because Code of Honor was by him, man.
But I'm telling you what, I'm fired up for the Breeders' Cup Classic already, and we haven't even seen the Awesome again later on this afternoon.
He beat Gift Box, so he's shipped out to California and won. So
yeah,
at that racetrack.
At that
where
racetrack,
the Breeders' Cup will be held this year.
We mentioned that yesterday. Yeah, the best race of his life until today. And look, there was no excuse, in my opinion, for Preservationist or Tacitus today. Zero.
And in defeat, your Travers winner, Code of Honor, I don't think he loses anything here. Big performance from him, and potentially he could move up off this Breeders' Cup weekend. What a performance, what a stretch duel in the Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup. We're going to go back earlier on in the race.
Well, I think what they're going to take the head on in the stretch. And what I was trying to tell you was, watch Irad Ortiz Jr. when Vino Rosso finally clears Tacitus. He's on the rail, horse to your right, and you're going to see Code of Honor's on the complete outside left side of your screen. He wants this horse to compete now because he's now clear of Tacitus. Do they bump? Tiny bit of tapping, but that's some love play.
Well, again,
guys, I don't think there's both riders are trying to keep their horses encouraged. Johnny may say, well, it cost me a little bit. No, neither horse switched leads, bounced back into their left lead with that slight contact. That was racing at its finest.
Racing, right?
That was racing at its finest right there, guys.
So 2 slight bumps. There was a a left-handed stick from Irad Ortiz Jr. We'll wait and see if there is anything posted.
I think the key part, Wolfie, is when he did go left-handed in the second one, you could see Irad really correct the horse. That's what the stewards want to see. You have to correct first if you're going to go back left-handed, and I think he kept a straight path.
There's an inquiry.
Now there's the objection in the inquiry. Yep.
All right, so a minor tap early, left-handed stick, a second tap again, a little more forceful, and we'll see. The jockeys both have to do some explaining here. Irad Ortiz Jr. will be talking to the stewards.
the margin was so small. This is when they do, the stewards have to make a very, very difficult decision. And this is one reason that I would hate to be up in that steward's booth right now, trying to make a call in a Grade 1 race with this incident right here when there's only 2 inches. Yeah, we don't have our lanes up there today like we had at Saratoga, but I'm sure we're going to get them here before this segment's over with, because this is going to take some time, guys.
This is going to take a lot of time, because you're right. It's a nose win. Is the 2 Code of Honor ever going to go by? Irad Ortiz Jr., listen, if he gets taken down, he gets taken down. For me, betting Vino Rosso, that's what he needs to do. He needs to get his horse to compete and see the other horse. It's light tapping at the other race. They probably leave it up.
I don't know.
It's going to be a really tough call.
I don't know.
Fletcher waiting anxiously. Here's another look down the stretch.
They wind up coming out about 5 paths from where they started. Vino Rosso started out in about the 1.5 path. He's clear out in the 5 path right now. Now he's in the 6 path. Now he's out in the 7 path. And he gets beat. I mean, there's inches involved here, and the implications, this is a win-in-your-end race, which these horses are going to wind up in the Breeders' Cup anyway. But I'm just saying it's a Grade 1, and I know what I'd do.
All right, so board flashing, stewards doing their due diligence right now. Let's go downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
And I knew when I pulled up and read the face of Irad Ortiz, I said, what's wrong? Because I can't see the races. So I'm just relying on Larry Colmus's call, and he said he's going to claim foul. And so that's exactly what happened. I heard it over the radio, so on the Outriders radio, saying there was a call in this race, and he said, look, I was riding hard. We were both riding hard. I did come out and touch him a bit. We'll see if it makes any difference. So he did admit that there was some contact and that he was riding awfully hard to implore Vino Rosso. Greg?
Maggie, thank you. Let's not forget, let's go back to the Kentucky Derby, first leg of the Triple Crown this year. This horse was interfered with by Maximum Security when he was down on the fence and briefly took the lead into the stretch in that race.
I'll tell you one thing, he's a tough horse. I mean, he's not afraid of a battle. And there was one point, just watching again here on the in-house feed, that one stride, it turned him sideways.
Turned him sideways, yeah, a tiny bit. The 2 Code of Honor came in like 2 paths, and the 3 Vino Rosso came out 5 paths. And I'll be honest with you, I made a big bet on Vino Rosso. He was my pick. I think he's coming down now the more I keep looking at this. And I think Code of Honor was never going to go by, but you can't say that. When you get a punch in the gut like that a couple times going 40 miles an hour, it's got to take a little steam out of you, and you lose by inches. This is a tough call because of the magnitude of the race, but you just can't come out 5 paths.
And even at a 1.25 mile distance, these horses, I mean, they're running hard, but they're tired right now.
100%,
they're getting legless, and the slightest little bit, you called it, at 40 miles an hour, when you get a little bump at 40 miles an hour, it turns into a big bump.
Because when you keep watching it, the more I look at it, when you keep watching it, Code of Honor was by him, Greg. And then when the bump started happening, that's when Vino Rosso sort of took off. Code of Honor was by him by about a head. And then when he started hitting him left-handed, when they bumped, he sort of ricocheted off and then took off.
So
and I want to say it's
look.
like not this one as damning as this one. I think if you keep coming out more and more, now he corrects finally, but the second time, like if you do it 2 to 3 times, you do it once, it's okay. 2 to 3 times, you play with danger. Right
well,
there,
we have our lanes now. Let's take a look with the lanes.
Oh, there you go. 2 lanes. 3.
Well, hold on.
4.
About 3-4 lanes. Yeah.
Can we do it with the lanes again? I think you.
What do you mean?
You might have jumped over 2 lanes too quickly there. By the way, 1927, the last time there was a DQ in this race. That's how far you have to go back. But if we can cue that up with the lanes again, which we're trying to do.
Real quick, by the way,
Get
2
your
minutes,
pillows
almost
out,
2
boys.
minutes flat for the 1.25 mile. Let's give kudos. It's pretty fast
All right,
time.
here we go.
He's already come out from there. He was back. If you back that thing up to the head of the stretch, he's only a length and a half out off the inside rail. He's clear out in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 path now. Goes
right,
back
we'll
in.
Now
he's going to come out again right here in the final 2 strides.
They put him up. Change.
Wow.
Change
Change made in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. Your Travers winner, Code of Honor.
Wait a second. Now
moved up to first.
Okay. No, sorry. There was a malfunction on the tote board. My bad.
And in a year that we have seen all this chaos in the 3-year-old division that included this horse in the Kentucky Derby. He was interfered with by Maximum Security. He was DQ'd in that race. Now he gets put up to victory, facing older horses for the first time.
And listen, I would not want that job up there right now, but they made the right call.
Yeah, they did.
That's my opinion, but I applaud them for being brave enough to make the decision. It was done quickly. To me, it was cut and dried when we saw it.
Yeah, and I beat up Gary the whole stretch, rooting Vino Rosso home, only for him to get taken down. But I agree with you 100%. The horse was, more I look at it, Code of Honor was by him. And listen, like I said, I want my rider to do what Irad Ortiz Jr. did. Get his horse out there to compete. Not to hit him. You don't want him to hit him, but he was trying to get his horse to compete.
Listen, we slapped high fives as soon as they crossed the finish line, and I knew who got beat. I knew there was a beat. I knew there was some contact. We hadn't seen the head-on yet, but we did just see one heck of a horse race.
Two incredible horses who are both going to be factors, I would think, in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Let me ask you this, because now Code of Honor, you would think probably moves to the head of the class of the 3-year-old division, but do some people look at this and say, well, he won the race via disqualification? Does that take any of the starch out of it?
No, not to me. He's a 3-year-old that just defeated his elder, and the first time that he tested the olders, and he did it. He did it via the steward's box, but without the bump. Is the crowd? They don't agree with the call.
Well, my thing is,
but we're in New York.
Code of Honor gets put up in the race, but I'll be honest, Vino Rosso run the best race by far. I mean, in my opinion, 24-47 with Tacitus on his back and Preservationist. You don't think they went fast early? What, are you crazy?
Not for these kind of horses.
I thought Vino Rosso ran lights out. You guys are crazy.
I thought Code of Honor ran a huge race.
I thought it was, they both didn't deserve to be a loser here, but Code of Honor got in front of Vino Rosso, and when that contact was made at probably more close to 35 miles an hour instead of 40 because they're getting tired. Still, that's like a car that's going 40 miles an hour. The faster you're going, the more a tap is, and they're tired at that point. And he had got his head in front, and after the contact is when Vino Rosso got back in front of him.
So you're on a horse, Gary, like that. What does that feel like when you're on top of a horse and you get what looks to us like a fairly minor bump, but repeatedly as well?
Well, for one thing, it depends on the size of horse that you're on. And this, we all know that Code of Honor doesn't have near the size of Vino Rosso does.
Right.
You saw my man Paulie beating on me over here. He's got just a few pounds on me. And it's the same thing. If I run into somebody that weighs my weight, I'm not going to feel nearly like when I get hit by, at speed by somebody that's bigger than me. So I don't know what the weight difference is between these two, but I would say that Vino Rosso, the way he looked today coming out of the paddock, there's a big difference.
He didn't need to go to California to break
By the way,
record.
number 664 career graded stakes wins.
His shots here
he continues to pile on, the all-time leader among jockeys in the history of this sport. Let's go downstairs to Acacia Courtney.
Greg, thank you. I'm joined by Shug McGahee. And Shug, of course, it's been a little bit of an up-and-down journey with this horse, as we've talked about, but he ran a huge race, disqualification or no.
He ran a great race. The winner, Vino Rosso and us both ran winning races. It's too bad that it had to end up that way. We got on the lucky side of it. I'm just really proud of Code of Honor's first time against older horses, and as hard as he ran the race, he kind of had to move a little bit earlier because the other two horses didn't really have horse to stay with that other horse, so I had to go, and, I couldn't be any happier.
Breeders' Cup win and you're in race. So looking ahead to the first weekend of November, what are those feelings like now?
Well, it's always exciting, and we'll see how he comes back. I'll talk to Mr. Ferris, and we'll make up our mind.
Looking, of course, at that head-on, just to wrap up, what were your thoughts of that stretch run?
Well, I thought that if Vino Rosso had stayed straight, we were going to win the race. We got by him, and then he came out, and, sort of, I don't know if he intimidated us, but they bumped a little bit, and I think that might have taken a little bit away out of our punch, but then he battled back to be second, beat a nose, so.
You ran an incredibly game race, so congratulations and best of luck leading up to the Breeders' Cup.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Greg?
Acacia, thank you. And now look at the resume for Code of Honor. He wins the Grade 2 Fountain of Youth on the road to the Triple Crown, move up to second via DQ in the Kentucky Derby, Grade 3 Dwyer, Grade 1 Travers, Grade 1 Jockey, Club Gold Cup against older horses. Starting to look like a really, really strong resume.
I think he sealed the deal for a champion 3-year-old today. No doubt about that. And I think he put himself heavily involved into Horse of the Year if he can pull off the next race.
Yeah, I agree. And again, I keep saying they ran fast. I mean, 2 minutes is cooking. When you run sub 2 minutes, you're cooking. And a horse named Secretariat ran that, and that was a long, long, long time ago. So they didn't run a slow Jockey Club Gold Cup at all. I take nothing away. That was a great interview by Shug. He knew that Vino Rosso was giving him a fight, but I'm with him. Like I said, I had a bet on Vino Rosso, but Code of Honor was by him. And I'll tell you what, he's going to probably love Santa Anita. A little tighter turns there, too. Shiftier, handier horse. And he laid a little bit closer today. Shug even said he moved a little bit closer. So I think and even a fuller feels better for him, but he's going to have to conquer McKenzie. That's going to be the one block. But other than that, man, he's a runner.
664 career graded stakes victories, the best of all time in this sport for John Velasquez, getting hugs from connections as Code of Honor, your Travers winner, beats older horses in the Jockey Club Gold Cup.
Warfront. This son of Danzig ranks among the world's elite sires. With Grade 1 winners on dirt and turf and star performers both at home and abroad, Warfront's success as an international super sire is unmatched. Recent Grade 1 winners include Omaha Beach and Preakness Stakes hero War of Will. In the sales ring, his $2.4 million sale topper at Keeneland September was the highest price yearling sold in North America last year. Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Rushes out of there to take the lead. It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
I think the bonus is really interesting. Mr. McInvale, as usual, is thinking outside the box, doing a wonderful job promoting his horse. Buyers will really appreciate having an opportunity like that to come back and run their horses at these top tracks and earn that bonus.
It's a wonderful incentive both for people in the market and people that own these horses. And I mean, what a great bonus it would be for anybody that wins. I think it's wonderful.
Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
Back on America's Day at the races, and what a stretch duel in the Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup. On the inside, Vino Rosso, the 4-year-old son of Curlin. On the outside, your Travers winner, 3-year-old Code of Honor. It did not look, I mean, Code of Honor, even on the gallop out, Paul, as you mentioned, was never getting by this horse, but floated out wide, change made. Code of Honor with the win. And now he has back-to-back Grade 1 victories.
And you see Vino Rosso with the colors, right? What are the colors? Colors of Always Dreaming. And who piloted Always Dreaming the Kentucky Derby win? Johnny Velasquez. Now he's on the other end with Code of Honor. But Vino Rosso was gallant, man. I thought he ran giant, the son of Curlin. And here's a horse that's only had 2 starts since May. So don't count Vino Rosso out either when it comes to the Classic. At least
absolutely
maybe
not.
To run, you know, again, Gary and I both agree on this. McKenzie's going to be tough. But these 2 horses today, I think, stamp themselves as maybe, besides some of the other horses, I know there's Gift Box, Catalina Cruz, and some other horses that are going to other races. But maybe these 2 horses can compete with McKenzie?
Oh, they'll compete.
Yeah.
They'll make him run.
Yeah.
They'll make him run. I just don't know if they'll make
they can beat him.
I don't know if they can run fast enough to get to that next level.
Going to do his thing in about a couple hours out on the West Coast at Santa Anita. His final stop before he goes on to the Breeders' Cup Classic. Well, so you're handing him that race already. Man, he's going to be tough in there, no question.
Yeah.
I don't think we can hand that race to anybody.
No.
Today. You know, they've made some changes in the surface out there at Santa Anita, and some horses like it, some of them don't.
No, I agree.
So McKenzie's been lighting it up, though, in the mornings over there, and I don't see any reason that that he won't win unless he has some problems.
Higher Power, of course, Pacific Classic winner in that race as well, seeking the soul for Dallas Stewart as we take a look at the contenders for the Breeders' Cup Classic. So both these two, obviously, you think major contenders, but Code of Honor, 3-year-old on the improve, has continued to pass every test so far, even though it didn't look like he was going by Vino Rosso here, but he did get interfered with, and he gets the win. This is going to be another intriguing race, but McKenzie, I think, in most people's eyes, of course, he will run, as we mentioned, in about 2 hours from now. The leader right now in the clubhouse, heading there. Let's not forget about Yoshida.
No, Yoshida is a good horse. You're Tenfold, who you saw on that list, along with Quip. They're running tonight at Churchill Downs.
Lucas Classic.
In late card, actually. That late pick 5 starts at 8:30, so hopefully you can stay awake. But, yeah, that's a big card at Churchill tonight. So, yeah, still a lot to be said in the older division, too.
Paul, how do you know that these pick 5s are starting at particular times?
For some reason, my phone just punches pick 5 tickets. I don't know how. It's just like I get alerts that it just automatically punches them.
Okay.
This happens.
Well, earlier in the day, what an incredible start we had to our show. Imperial Hint coming off a track record-setting performance at Saratoga in the Vanderbilt. His next start here, trying to defend his championship in the Vosburgh, and he got a battle of his life. And somehow was able to come out on top against Firenze Fire.
Yeah, you want to talk about guts, a gutty performance, and 2 horses giving it their all. And you're going to see Firenze Fire lay on top of him, make things as tight as they can get. Some horses like it, some of them hate it. This horse loved it. I can't believe that he came back and beat Firenze Fire.
I can't believe it either. I mean, and like you said, Firenze Fire likes to win races. He's 7 for 19 lifetime. But
he's beat right there.
He's beat, but this little horse, but Imperial Hint, man, he's just got so much heart. He just knows where the wire is. He just likes to win him more, 14 for 23.
Did you notice that Javier didn't and couldn't use his whip because they were so tight against each other? When you back that thing up, he cocks his whip, goes to use it, and he could do nothing but wave it at him. He didn't need it. That horse was giving his all without the use of that, and that was a fun race to watch.
He's going to get a lot out of that race, and he's probably going to be a Breeders' Cup Sprint favorite as of now, besides Matoli, but we're not going to see Matoli till then. People are going to see that race and go, wow, this little rocket can run. And, you know, Firenze Fire is in the mix, too. That was a bang-up race by Firenze Fire. Got back to that old speed, and now I think they're going to use that speed. And he gave him all he can handle. That was a heck of a race.
Yes, it was. It was a fun race to watch, and saw some great racing today. So far, got one left.
All the favorites got tested. All the big favorites got tested today. Midnight Bisou got tested. Imperial Hint got tested. They really all did.
They really did. It was a day where we thought we were going to see all these massive favorites. And there were a couple, Imperial Hint, Midnight Bisou, but they both had to earn it. And probably good to have that as their final stop heading to the Breeders' Cup. Code of Honor, your Travers winner. First test against older horses. He passes with a little help of a DQ. He's got one more test ahead. We'll be back.
I'm a firm believer you don't put the saddle on the Pedigree. I bought him strictly because of his physique, his conformation. And then when you looked at the Pedigree, it was the perfect blend. Run Happy was an incredible, incredible racehorse, being supported by Airdrie Stud, who raises an incredible animal. To breed one of their best mares to him speaks volumes. It ended up producing an incredible result in this horse, and we just hope he runs to his looks and his pedigree.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Each year, a new dream begins. To achieve that dream, you could never rest on past success.
Audible, no doubt about it. He won it by 2.5. Yoshida storming home in the center. Yoshida! Yoshida has won the one word.
Wake up, little one. It's time to dream big.
Kentucky Derby winner Orb On the track, his runners have scored on both dirt and turf, including multiple stakes winner Autumn Warrior and Sipacan Harbor, winner of the Grade 1 Spinaway Stakes at Saratoga. On the track, Orb continues to add winners. And in the sales ring, his 2-year-olds have sold up to $250,000 in 2019. Classic winner, classic pedigree, or standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on America's Day at the Races, what a super Saturday we have had to this point. It has been incredible action, and we're not done yet. We still have the nightcap to come. It is a maiden special weight, mile on the turf, and Chad Brown with a little more work to do. We've already seen him win a couple of turf races with a 2-year-old filly, 2-year-old colt in the Pilgrim, and now he has Perceived in Bordertown, the 6 and the 8, who are both taking money on the board, but neither favored right now.
Yeah, I thought the 8 would be your favorite in here for Chad Brown, but you know what? The theme might be Chad Brown's just going to win on the turf. The 6, this is crazy.
Yeah.
The 3's taking all the money. The 4 is taking crazy money because the workouts in the morning have been unreal, but those haven't been on the turf, and this horse got scratched off the turf. So I just think all the money's going to the 3 and 4, just not to the 6 and 8 yet.
Well, you're in the pick 4, your 3 is favored, by the way.
Wow.
Hey, and he's 15-1 on the morning line.
No.
I
the
thought
3.
Malthale, 9-2.
Oh, the 3. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the 3 horse.
We'll talk more about the rest of this group in a moment. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
Just got the riders up call, so try to go quickly here as we'll take a look at number 8, Bordertown. I don't know why he's not favored. I don't get why Malthale is favored, but he'll probably end up in the winner's circle because Bordertown ran an extraordinary race first time out. He got left, then he makes this huge middle move, then he hits the lead, and then just is beaten at the wire by a repeat winner in Epic Bromance, who came back to improve his Beyer speed figure by about 9 points, I believe. And this horse is drop dead gorgeous. I love what I'm seeing from him. I know it's not a beauty contest, and I know he's a war front. He should look that way, but I really like what I'm seeing. The only concern is fitness. July 28th, little bit of a break, actually 2 months to be exact. Just could look maybe slightly more tucked up, but then again, it just might be him. As we'll take a look at number 5 here, Betterment, coming in off of a layoff for Mark Hennig. Actually, his last breeze was with Americanus, a 2-year-old winner, impressive 2-year-old winner that we saw from the Hennig barn earlier on the card. And Betterment, he looks incredibly fit here. I mean, NT sharp. Also notice that they cut the blinkers back a bit from a 3/4 cup to a very, very short cheater. And in his last start, he was badly interfered with at the head of the lane. A horse was bolting and being pulled up, and he just got carried out into about the 10 pass. So this horse looks ready to come back off that layoff. Now, number 6 is Perceived. What a difference Gelding makes, as this guy is so much more relaxed, so much fitter. I think we'll see an even better showing from him. And Greg, he ran an 80 first time out. I know he finished 5th, beaten 4 lengths, but that was a pretty fast field, a fast race, I should say. And I can't believe the 180 that he's done in the right direction.
Approaching the 7-minute mark to post here. Nightcap coming up. We will have the post parade for you for the 11th here at Belmont on Super Saturday. When we return, Bordertown for Chad Brown. The 8 now is favored, but a modest favorite at 7-2. And Gary, the horse you were talking about, that was the 4. 15-1 morning line is taking a lot of play right now at 4-1.
Yes, he is, and there's a lot of people that like this horse. He was favored, or he was second favorite at 4-1 last time out when he started, and it was a sloppy racetrack. It was off the turf, so he's got a chance today.
Here's Dylan Rocks, Kendrick Carmouche aboard for New Barn. David Donk has had a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, he has 11 starts. He's hit the board 3 times, $49,000 in earnings. So
15-1 on a first-time starter, son of Uncle Mo out of a theatrical mare. So there's turf pedigree there for John Terranova's super fan.
Yeah, I never had a super fan. Always wanted one, you know? But never really had one. 15-1 for Rajiv. And John Terranova clicks at a big rate with his first-time starters. Great ROI, $6.32.
Might be a good thing, Paul. Did you see that Wesley Snipes movie?
Yeah, I know.
Malthale, Christophe Clement.
Yeah, and Joel Rosario currently co-favorite right now, coming off second-place effort last time out at Saratoga.
Motatsebek Hope I'm pronouncing that correct.
Sounds good to me.
Son of City Zip, 4-1.
I think that was well done there, Wolfie. Horse that's well touted in the morning. Crazy stat, though, that Karen McLaughlin's 5% getting on the turf first time and 41 starts, but blazing in the morning, reportedly.
Mark Hennig sends out Betterment for Cortland Farms.
Yeah, and she's had troubles in her first 2 races, got an issue with lugging in, and she's been off since February. Let's see if Johnny V can get her to run straight.
Yeah, Hennig Barn won earlier on today's card. Here's 1 of 2 for trainer Chad Brown, new gelding Perceived.
Yeah, ran June 14th and got gelded reportedly right after that race and hasn't been seen since. Been training at Monmouth. Don't let that fool you. We've seen a couple horses from Monmouth with Chad Brown win.
Son of Blame. Here's the 7 Mo Fun, another Uncle Mo. Mike Maker off the claim.
Yeah, Mike claimed last time out. That was a sprint race and stretching out today for the first time.
Third barn and 3 starts for that horse. Here's Border Town, the other Chad Brown runner, debuted at Monmouth.
This horse was monstrous first time out. It actually hesitated. What it says at start is actually perfect, but then made up a ton of lengths, and Paco Lopez made an early move, and then the horse got passed late. I think the one to beat.
The 8, Son of Warfront, who had a winner earlier on the card. Here's the 9 Going for Gold, 54-1, Anthony Quartarolo.
Yeah, and I thought he might be even a higher price than that. He's been beating double figures his last 2. The best thing he's got going for him is he's trying turf for the first time.
And the 10, Big Shot for Chantry Flats. Michelle Nevin, but has had plenty of tries. This will be the 9th start.
Yeah, you know what, though? When you lose by a nose and a head, since they put the blinkers on this colt, he's gotten a lot better. Now, I don't know if a mile is his distance because he looks like he wants to go farther. But if he gets to the front end here and they let him go slow, they might not catch him today.
His better races have been a little longer, but yes, speed cutting back could be very dangerous at a very nice price of 6-1. But there's Border Town, part of a pair of colts, or runners, I should say. The other is a gelding, Perceived. For Chad Brown, Border Town, Javier Castellano on board. The Son of Warfront. We're going to take a break. We'll be back. More coming up. The finale from Belmont on Super Saturday. Next, when we return here to Elmont, New York.
Good Samaritan, the last great son of Harlan's Holiday. A debut winner at Saratoga, followed by 14 consecutive graded stakes performances. A Grade 2 winner on dirt and turf.
Good Samaritan to the Breeders' Cup.
Good Samaritan has taken the lead and he's pulling away.
Out of the family of Sky Mesa, Bernstein, and Champion outstandingly. The last great son of Harlan's Holiday is only at Windstar Farm.
This gleaming chestnut wins by 6 on debut, with the promise of bigger things to come. Justify, he's on a dizzying ascent to greatness.
What do you do when the experts compare you to legends?
Justify has won the Kentucky Derby. He's unstoppable. He won the Preakness. Justify is the 13th Triple Crown winner.
You justify it.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
Mastery retired undefeated, winning his 4 starts by a combined 20 lengths. A 6-figure September sale purchase, he won impressively in his 2-year-old debut at Santa Anita. From there, he captured the Grade 3 Bob Hope Stakes and completed his juvenile campaign with a dominant performance in the Grade 1 Los Alamitos Futurity. At 3, the top-rated son of Candy Ride sizzled in the San Felipe. Now his much-anticipated first crop has arrived. Mastery, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Welcome back, as it is pretty much dusk here at Belmont Park on this America's Day at the races. And boy, has it been a dramatic one, as we'll look forward to this nightcap. Couple inquiries and disqualifications, but some great performances all around from the horses on the racetrack and their connections. As looking at some of the players in this maiden special weight on the turf, Motata Beck, hopefully I said that right, is taking quite a bit of money, as the guys were saying earlier before the break. His son is City Zip out of the damn Bluegrass Princess. That makes him a half to Partisan Politics, who is an effective turf runner for trainer Chad Brown. And this guy, they try to get him on turf first time, and he gets it here, and he looks like a turf horse. He also looks a bit more fit than he did first time out, which is typical of Kieran McLaughlin's runner. So we'll see if that money that he's been taking is meaningful. Then on the outside is one coming back off a bit of a layoff. That's number 10, Chantry Flats. And the overall body of work, this horse has consistently run faster than any of the horses in here, and he's kind of getting ignored at 6-1, I would say, on the board. He has some speed, not the best post position for his running style, but he looks fit. I mean, the last time I had seen him, he was washed out. He looked furry. His coat wasn't shut out completely, and he looks way better than any of his two other outings this year. So we'll see what Chantry Flats can do back at the races for Michelle Nevin. Greg?
All right, Maggie, thanks. Yeah, so 6-1, that price just seems awfully big on this runner. But as Paul mentioned, his two best efforts have come, or three best efforts have all come at longer distances than this mile.
Yeah. Blinkers have completely changed the horse around. Now, your worry about Chantry Flats hasn't been seen since May 9th with all those good races that you're seeing. Why? And might not read the race. So is Michelle going, let's go a mile, and then we'll stretch them back out to a mile and a quarter next time. But they don't ride a lot of mile and a quarter maiden races, let's be honest.
We've seen what's happened earlier today. A couple of turf races with 2-year-olds. Chad Brown won them both. Now, the question is,
I mean, the safe
which
bet,
one do you go with in here? He's
yeah,
got
like
the 6 Perceived, the 8 Border Town.
Did not everybody come into this race going, oh, you can get away with 6-8. They're the lowest pay in the pick 4. They're the lowest pays in the pick 5. They're the lowest pays in the pick 6. Besides, the 3 is third choice to the 6 and 8 because people default to Chad Brown.
And they both look like they have upside. Look, we mentioned Chantry Flats had some of the best races in here. This horse has had a lot of opportunities. The Chad Brown runners are both making their second start, and Border Town had a legitimate excuse first time out.
I think Chantry Flats is really being overlooked. I like Chantry Flats off the layoff. He's going to be super fresh. He ran well. He's shown speed and run well off of the only other big layoff he had in August of last year. So I think he shows speed again today. And if he runs his best race, he's going to go in the winner's circle today. Just saying.
No, I'm with you. It's the Chad Brown factor. Can you
Well,
beat this guy?
I'm
you
using
know?
the Michelle Nevin factor.
No, I'm with you.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
Betterment moving in for Mark Hennig. He won with Americanus earlier on the card. That was the son of Warfront back in race number 6. It's the nightcap. Let's head upstairs. Here's Larry Colmus.
They're off. Good beginning for Going for Gold, who goes out to the front with Chantry Flats on the outside, away running in second. Mo Fun is third behind them. And then it's Malthael and Dylan Rocks on the inside. Perceived is next, and Superfan goes up in between horses in company with Betterment up the backstretch, and then Motatabec and Border Town. So up the backstretch they go, and out there winging is Going for Gold. Big long shot up top here through a 23.12 opening quarter mile at 99-1. A 5-length early lead here for Going for Gold. Chantry Flats is second by 2. Mo Fun is third. Superfan fourth on the inside. Then it's Malthael and Dylan Rocks together. They're 9 lengths from the front. Motatabec and Betterment are next by 3. Then Perceived and Border Town at the rear of the field. The half mile in 45.84, Going for Gold, trying to go as far as he can here. Still 5 in front. Chantry Flats is second, Mo Fun on the outside is third. Then Superfan on the inside and Malthael. Motatabec is still about 12 lengths behind. Dylan Rocks is next, Perceived is saving ground. Then it's Border Town on the outside and Betterment. And they're at the top of the stretch. And Going for Gold is still in front. Chantry Flats is still 4 lengths behind as they come to the 8th pole. And then it's Malthael on the outside. Final furlong, Going for Gold, trying to hold on. Chantry Flats cutting into that gap on the outside, runs up alongside and runs on by. Chantry Flats is going to win the races for second. It's either Going for Gold or Malthael. They were right together. Perceived was fourth.
Going for Gold gave everybody watching a scare at 99-1 at least on the board. It doesn't go that high. Chantry Flats comes and gets him in the end.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's the white bandages on Chantry Flats, but his action, he's got some really high action coming through the stretch. He looks like he's going 90 miles an hour, but running in place as high as those legs are coming out. And I thought Going for Gold was long gone. Right here, I said this Chantry Flats is not making up any ground at all, but winds up winning pretty easy when Going for Gold caves in.
I can't believe this horse went off at 8-1.
The Michelle Nevin factor.
Yeah,
at 8-1.
And the board was right. The 6 and the 8 broke dead last for Chad Brown. They were way out of it. I don't think the 3 popped the 9 for second. I think the 9 ended up holding on for second. And for the people that had the all button in the last race,
they were rooting.
Man, you thought you were home for a split second. I was like, wow, 5,600 for the pick 5 and 600 for the pick 4 when you have all this chalk and you're thinking, oh, you're home. No, you're not. You're going to get $56 for your pick 4, and you're going to get $366 for your pick 5. But the 9 ran a bang-up race. It just shows you speed is so dangerous when you get out in front.
That was fun to watch. Thrilling conclusion to a day that has just been tremendous from start to finish. And what an effort from Going for Gold. It seemed like they had a game plan from the start, and they stuck to it, and it nearly paid off, but you still get paid for second, too. Manny Franco meets leading rider in the end, collects his second of the afternoon.
How about that? That horse's first time on turf Going for Gold. I think it's not going to be his only time because he kicked off some good. I mean, if you think about it, they actually ran 133 and change for main special weights, and he went 109. The 9 ran.
Yes, he did.
He did. That wasn't one of those ones where they ran like 136 for the mile. Like, he actually ran a good mile.
We saw him twice at Saratoga, and I know for a fact he was on one of our shows. He actually liked him when he was taking the blinkers off back on August 3rd. I should have waited for the turf.
Right?
Betting to place, not always a bad thing at 99-1.
Well, I said the biggest thing he had going for him in the bush race was he's switching to the turf. Who knows?
Right?
I know my son is not real happy right now. He just shot me a text. He was all over that.
He had the all button?
He hit the all button.
No.
Yeah, I think, son, when I jumped on board with you there.
That's your dream, 99-1 when you hit the all button.
Yeah.
Oh.
Tough beat. No question. What a day, though. Guys, it was a lot of fun. What a day. And we're going to see some of these horses moving on to the Breeders' Cup. Imperial Hint, how did he battle back from the inside against Firenze Fire, defends his Vosburgh victory. He'll go to the Breeders' Cup Sprint as one of your favorites. And Midnight Bisou, could she be your horse of the year? A perfect 7-for-7 campaign as a 4-year-old filly. She'll go, we think, to the Distaff as a heavy favorite. And Code of Honor, what a chaotic year it's been for 3-year-olds, moved up to victory via DQ. We'll see you tomorrow.